10, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Okay, again. 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
Tú eres tan romántico molestando con una vipa. Me preguntas si te quiero. Yo te digo que no estoy lista y no quiero comenzar. No hay nada que pensar. Yo te dejaré atrás. Mientras gano más y más. No estás en mi nivel y tú no eres obligación. No estás motivada y tú aburre mi corazón. Eres un idiota sin inteligencia y razón. Entonces déjame tranquila mientras escriba tu canción. Tú eres tan romántico molestando con una vipa. Me preguntas si te quiero. Yo te digo que no estoy lista y no quiero comenzar. No hay nada que pensar. Yo te dejaré atrás. Mientras gano más y más. No estás en mi nivel y tú no eres obligación. No estás tú aburre mi corazón. Eres un idiota sin inteligencia y razón. Entonces déjame tranquila mientras escriba tu canción. Estoy aquí a disfrutar. Estoy aquí pero quiero gozar. Si quieres a mí pero vamos a bailar. Cintura a cintura papi tra tra tra. Bailando, gozando y me gusta tomar. Pero no quiero pendejos que no quieren respetar. Déjame pendejo papi ya no más. Déjame pendejo papi ya no más. Estoy aquí a disfrutar. Estoy aquí pero quiero gozar. Si quieres a mí pero vamos a bailar. Cintura a cintura papi tra tra tra. Bailando, gozando y me gusta tomar. Pero no quiero pendejos que no quieren respetar. Déjame pendejo papi ya no más. Déjame pendejo papi ya no más.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy Luis Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Thursday. Mi Gente show at Sofia Carrillo. I always call you at. I don't know why.
Because that's my legal name, at Sofia Carrillo _.
At Sofia Car. At Sofia Car.
Car, sí, cierto. Yes. I did the old Shelly Rowe thing.
Yeah. Shelly Rowe, queen of the voice message.
Yep. Always, always.
Thanks for everybody that's joining us. Make sure you hit the like or comment. Let us know you're here. Feliz October spooky time.
Yes.
Got the new Dia de los Muertos motif there.
I am loving it. It looks amazing.
And we got the Mi Gente show logo with me as the priest and you as the malevolent daughter.
Why? Why can't it be backwards? Huh?
I mean, just size wise. The
That's
same
a good
reason
point.
you're Mike in the other picture, and I'm the big guy.
That's true.
So we're gonna skip personal news and anything else because we have guests, and
We do.
we're talking. It is the spooky season. It is Halloween, but we have been talking to a lot of authors as well. So this is somebody that I reached out to that I've been connected to for a while, but you know how you connect people that are like colleagues or in the industry, but don't necessarily get to know them. But I had seen some stuff about promotion for a book tour she was doing, some films and animated projects. So she's a director, author, and I watched a little bit of some of her films today, and it very interesting stuff. She's got a couple of books coming out. So she's one of them multi-hyphenates.
Oof.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
So we're going to start off the show today with our Latinx spotlight by welcoming on author director Natalie Rodriguez.
Hey. Hi,
Hello, hello.
everyone.
Hey.
Good evening.
Hi. I'm going to place you over here in my thing so I can look more towards the camera, Natalie.
Yeah, that's good. I know I do that too. I'm like always debating, look in the camera or look at the screen.
Yeah. I got a weird setup here. So, but thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for reaching out. I know we were chit-chatting about that before the show. I really appreciate it, and big fan of podcasts. I was telling Sophia earlier, I probably listen to all day pretty much.
Yeah.
I feel like I listen to podcasts and audiobooks more than music these days. I just find them very soothing, and I think nowadays we can all say something's relatable, kind of find it therapeutic, and it's always good to have on, while you're doing work.
Yeah. Are you the type to listen to podcasts to get your mind off of stuff, as in like brainless entertainment, or more like educational?
For me lately, I'll say probably more educational. I noticed that because I think it's something I'll say I'm a big person on therapy. Counseling helps for you. Definitely go. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And it's something I've been talking about in counseling these past few weeks. I'm like, yeah, I just gravitate towards it's either horror films or horror content, true crime, or it'd be like memoirs, like more of like a sit down interview, or of course someone's writing about their life in a memoir itself. I think it's just more. I like hearing about how someone got their start in the entertainment industry, whether they're in front of the camera, behind. And a lot of times, I like that nowadays, people are more open to talking about those hardships, or they talk about the rejections they get. So I think for me, it's just that reminder, as cliche as it is to say, it's just that reminder that no, everyone goes through, they're going to get their no's, or they still get told no, even if they have quote unquote made it, into the industry. They're still getting passed on for projects or for even funding for their own material. So I would say definitely probably the educational. I think it's just good for me, and I'm sure for others who can relate, it's just, interesting to hear that side of the story to things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
How about you, Sophia? What are you listening to these days?
I don't know. I find myself kind of like a little bit of both. There's some like this definitely brainless, dumb entertainment, but and it depends what time of the day as well. I've noticed that in the morning, I just want noise. That's it. But more towards the end, I don't know why I get a little more analytical. That's when I usually listen to more politics stuff, or more like autobiographies or interviews, kind of that delve deeper and stuff like that. But it's a mixture. What about you, Lou?
I very rarely listen to podcasts.
Really?
I don't know if it's because
You're like, I have two.
I have two, and I'm trying to start a third one.
Nice.
And usually I have movies on in the background, or TV shows on in the background, and there's a small part of it where I don't want to copy people, because I already know that my style is a mix of all the shows that I grew up listening to, which is like New York sports talk radio, Howard Stern, and like a bunch of, and then like other stuff, and then some of the streamers that I've watched, and that's kind of like the combination of what I've become, plus my own style. So I don't really want to listen to another podcast and be like, oh, they're doing something similar, or I don't want to do that. And then I also don't like being told how to. There's a lot of movie content out there where like these younger cats are reviewing movies from like the 90s and stuff like that. And sometimes I don't. That's the same reason I didn't like film school, is because I don't like people telling me how I should feel about a piece of art.
Right.
That makes
sense.
The biggest thing I hated about film school was like, this is what you have to understand about the Godfather. And then when he dies, his arms are in this direction, so it's a Jesus thing. And then I'm just like, what? I don't want to,
I feel you there. That was kind of with me with the film school. It was either that, like, oh, you see how here this shot's diagonal because that's a motif and a sign, and I'd be like, oh, I think they probably just filmed it like that because it looked good, and so if they're on a time crunch, that's all they had. Or it was the other thing. Like, I unfortunately had that experience where I had a lot of jaded professors. Like, they would take you through all this work, whether it was writing a full-length screenplay or making a short film, and editing it and doing coloring and sound design. And then at the end, they'll be like, oh, no one's ever going to, like, this won't make it. Like, if you submit this to FEST, it's not going to make it. Not to me directly, but it was, like, to the class. I feel if it was to me directly, I'd probably cry and stop pursuing. But I feel that was, like, what I was getting. A lot of the jaded professors, unfortunately.
Oh, no. And you went to Fullerton, right?
I did. I went to Fullerton.
What? Me too. What's
Oh, you
that?
did? Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
did. What
Team
year did you
Titan,
graduate?
yeah. I was 2014. Almost forgot. I was like, oh God,
Oh,
2014.
nice. I
Yeah.
was 2018. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's very cool. Small world. Okay, I've been meeting a
I
lot of
know.
Fullerton people, which is nice because I feel a lot of people don't know what that was. Like, especially coming
Mhm.
out to Los Angeles, like, wait, what is that? I'm like, Orange County. I'll just leave
Yeah,
that.
exactly. It's not that far. It's like an hour
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it really isn't that far.
It's such a good campus though. I loved it.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm from San Diego and I moved up there
Oh, right
for
on.
college and then I moved back. Yeah.
Okay, that's very
What
cool.
about yourself? Are you from Orange County or what's your geography like?
No. So I grew up in Inland Empire, suburban
Oh.
neighborhoods, and when I was in late teens, even to mid 20s, I was in Glendora, and
Mhm.
I moved twice in Glendora. I lived, at home. Went to school, Cal State Fullerton. I was still living at home, so I did that commute from Glendora. And Glendora, I'm like, it's by San Gabriel Valley, like very close,
Mhm.
neighboring cities. I think of like
Mhm.
West Covina, and maybe from like Fullerton, Cal State, it's probably like 45 minutes, an hour. So
Yeah.
it's not too bad. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
You guys done reminiscing about college?
Yeah. Yeah, I was
He's
like,
like,
Lou,
boo.
would you like to partake, Lou?
Okay, we got it. You guys are
Yeah.
smart.
Welcome
Thank
in.
you. No, I was just gonna say, the film school thing was
Hmm.
my experience was that I didn't like being told what to think about something, and then also at the time I was going to film school, um, we were still editing on like reel to reel and like Avid machines and stuff like
Yeah.
that. This was like a long ass time ago in a time called the late '90s, and I was reading all these trade articles about how you were going to be able to edit, non-linear
Hmm.
editing was coming. So I was like, I'm learning how to do surgery with sticks and stones. So
Right.
I figured at that point I'm just like, I'm out of here. But
Right.
jumping into your life, Natalie. Director, you went to
Hmm.
film school. You're an
Hmm.
author, a storyteller. You're doing animation projects.
Yeah.
Which one of those talents or which one of those passions surfaced the first for you? What was the first one? Were you
Hmm.
first telling jokes? Were you telling stories in school? Were you writing stories? How did that start for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually started off with acting. When I was a kid, I
Uh,
was begging my parents, oh, please let's move to Hollywood. Because that was kind of, I grew up, a good 45 minutes, hour, 2 hour drive to Hollywood. So to me, it was like, if you're in Hollywood, you're closer to like making as an actress.
mhm.
And I did do actually a few plays. I did a summer camp. That was my first like acting experience. My mom put me in a summer camp, and the whole summer, you audition and you practice, and the last day of class is putting on a play for family and friends. So that was pretty fun. And I then got into writing. So the writing came in not too long after that. I was in the fifth grade. I went to a school in Diamond Bar. It's other, I guess, San Gabriel Valley City. And at Diamond Bar, we were required to, the entire school actually, so it was grades, kindergarten, I think into fifth grade, we had to write a short story and actually make that short story look like a book. So whether that was getting, styrofoam and creating like the book cover and then just printing out pages, it was a mandatory project. And we actually couldn't graduate to the next grade if we didn't complete that or if we refused to do it. And that at that time, I hated reading, I hated writing, I didn't care for it. I was more focused still on the acting. I was like, I just want to go to like acting classes, and I don't want to be here. Like, I don't need this stuff for like acting. That was kind of
Yeah.
like my mindset. But I want to say, I think that scared me. I was, if I heard that this is a mandatory project, it would terrify me. So I felt
Mhm.
like the good student in me was like, oh no, I gotta just suck it up and just bite my tongue and just do this project. And once I did that, that was kind of like, kind of went from there. It was, came home every day for like maybe the next 3 months, when I was in fifth grade, worked on the story. Back then we had like a big desktop, and that was when we had AOL, internet dial up.
Oh
So
yeah.
I had to use that computer, for X amount of time. I would pull up the web, try to look up other stories or like how to write a story, short story. And I did that, yeah, for about 3 months. And then my mom, she saw me like writing it, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, it's for a school project. I have to make a book." And she actually helped me. I got to give a shout out to mom. She helped me make the cover
Aw.
and suggested like, "Oh, you should put this in your about author page." So it's an elementary school project, but yeah, they made us go full out with that. We had to have,
Oh.
you know, dedication about the author. And the last day,
Did you take
last day
did you take an author's picture for the cover? Like,
I wish I did. It
Like-
was just
Oh,
my
sorry.
regular school project, or my school yearbook. And I got to find that because I have it.
looking out
I'm
to
glad
the
I
distance,
saved it.
like,
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, do you remember what the story was about?
Yes, I do. So that's
Yeah.
actually that short story turned out to be my first young adult novel. Short
Uh-huh.
story. This was the start of, the obsession of coming back to it, making it longer over the next few years. So the short story, this version, it was about like 4 childhood best friends. One's deceased father comes back to life. So I was, even at a young age, I was still very much into like the darker, like friendship stories. By then I already watched films. I always think of Stand By Me, with the 4 friends and that childhood. And even though it's a story about friendship, there was still a lot of like heavy subjects that the characters are dealing with.
Right.
But by then I was also, at that age, I was more interested in watching, I won't say adult theme films, but films that weren't like, on Nickelodeon or Disney. I was watching or I think by then I'd like watched American Beauty because my mom was watching it, or films like Scream. So I
5th
definitely
grade?
think, yeah, I think definitely
What?
that had an impact on like the writing, because it was like, oh, like Scream was one of my favorite movies growing up. It's like, oh, okay, like this is how this character reacts in this situation. So
Mhm.
I know. I'm like, I was watching definitely more like PG-13, the rated R
Yeah, I was
content.
gonna say, like, were
Yeah.
you a big Goosebumps fan? But you were already
I
watching
was.
Scream, and yeah, no, you were
Yeah.
advanced.
I did like Goosebumps, and I'm actually stoked. They just had the revamped version come out on Netflix. So I was still watching, things like Goosebumps, or even like Halloween Town. That was
Yeah.
a big movie back when I was a kid on Disney Channel. So
Oh yeah, they
I'd
still
go back and
celebrate
forth.
every year at that.
They do.
Yeah, I want to go so badly.
I know. I'm like, I know. I think it's like they get booked out. So I'm like, I gotta stay on top of that too.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah. But definitely, I think it's just going back and forth with those kind of films, from your Disney Channel Halloween Town to something like Scream, or even like Goosebumps.
Mhm.
I just think, as a kid, I was just curious. I mean, I always wanted to be an actor, so of course I was watching films or TV, especially if I saw like a child actor. I always thought as a kid, back then, oh, that's so cool. Like, see, it is possible. Like, I would tell my mom, see, that is possible. Like, that kid can do it. Like, I can too. But I'll be honest, my mom, even to this day, she's one of those people that's like, oh, you don't want to become a doctor or a nurse still? And I'm like, no, not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So, I think kind of go back to that short story, that was the start of it. That ended up turning out to be my first young adult novel. And that was, just always coming back to it year after year. After moving on from the 5th grade, where that project was due, that short story, I just kept thinking about that short story. I was like, those characters are sitting with me. Like, I still have to like go visit them, and I gotta like look at it. And it was literally just bugging me. Even at a young age, I feel I still was able to, I was still like so aware, like, all right, there's a reason why, like, I'm still thinking about the short story. I need to like
does
figure out why.
does everything you've written since then take place in the same cinematic or book universe in your mind, or do you
Um, I would
like,
say probably different universe.
okay,
I haven't
just
thought about
because,
that. It's interesting though.
no, because we like to say that all our movies take place in the 2 a.m. burrito extended universe, but
Yeah.
then I was like, it just seems like that first story and
Mhm.
that first experience of creating something from nothing really
Yeah.
stuck with you. And if you're saying that's what your
Mhm.
first young adult novel, then I'm thinking
Definitely
that
did.
that universe you created is probably like very vivid to you. And maybe, or maybe better question, have you written other stories besides that are set in that same universe?
That's actually interesting. I think looking at it, I would say the books for sure. There's a possibility they can be in the same universe. I definitely think those characters, they could, even though the Elephant book, that's what the first young adult novel series is. They're 14-year-old teenagers, and then my recent book, The Extraordinary Ordinary, they're 20, 21-year-old young adults. I still think they can be friends. I think just because of a lot of their history and their backstories, there's a lot that they can relate to. And I think the 14-year-olds from Elephant, they go through a lot of, things that are happening in the house, the elephant in the room, the skeletons in the closet, things they're dealing with that I think have to, fortunately and unfortunately, encourage them to grow up, or just be overall like aware of, their surroundings and the people that are in their lives.
Mhm.
So I think that's possible. I think you're the first person to actually ask me that. So that's actually a good question, because I never thought about that, like, as a whole, in its entirety.
Every time somebody says that's a good question, Lou, I need to order a hat one size
Yeah,
bigger.
Yeah,
I need to
it's a good
get
question.
you're making his head too big,
Oh,
Natalie.
no.
every time,
So
and
you
then
have
and then the next day I get another tattoo. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
process. That's it's
Right
like my
on,
it's
yeah.
like my drug. No, I'm serious.
Nice.
No, so you start off, you school project leads you
Yeah.
to realize you're good or that you have an affinity to create something like that, and then you move forward with that. And when do you make the decision to go into film school
Yeah.
versus something else? And did you feel
Mhm.
that film school was maybe like the medium where you could learn something but you could also tell stories? How did you transition from that first story to when you started there?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually, I always hated school. As young as I can remember, I was always begging my parents to homeschool me.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of that came from, because even though I was, after that short story I wrote, I was still wanting to do acting. And my mom and, dad, they both looked into, oh, well, because you're a minor, we have to be on set with you. So there was a lot of like stress about that. Like, well, how are you going to go to school? You need to go to school. So in the meantime, I, was still going to public schooling. I always was still bugging my parents every few months. Can I be homeschooled? Like, I don't want to go to school. And once I got high school, I was terrified of the word college. Like, I'll be honest, I never wanted to go to college. It was something I just didn't feel. I always felt strongly like I just felt I'm going to waste my time there. I feel like maybe if I take like strictly writing classes or like a crash course program, I was more focused on that. But it was a deal with my mom. So when I was a junior, I think this is still a requirement for most high schools. Starting my junior year, we all individual as students had to meet with our guidance counselor, and literally our guidance counselor had to sit down student and the parent that came with them. In this instance, it was my mom and I. And they asked, what does he want to do? Here's the schools you should apply to. Like, here are the schools, mainly within the region. So it'd be like, Diamond Bar, Fullerton was one of the closer colleges. My guidance counselor was like, you should apply there. And I told her flat out, it was the first time I asked, got asked, by my guidance counselor, really by anyone, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And I said, I want to tell stories, and I also love movies. I see myself directing one day. I see myself having a production company. And so my guidance counselor was like, okay, so film school. Got it. And I think she asked my mom too, my guidance counselor, like, would you be okay if Natalie goes to like something like LA Film School? That was like a big thing back in the day. Whoever went to LA Film School, it's like the top prestige school. And it was like, I think, to be honest, it was also like, oh, you can afford it, going to something like that. It was double the price of something like Fullerton or the Cal States.
Yeah.
So that was that transition. It was after that meeting with my guidance counselor. My mom told me, you can't live at home and not go to school. She's like, if you go to college, you can write and do your stuff on the side, but just please go to college. So that was, I guess, the deal with my mom. It was, if you're not going to go to school, college, then you got to work full time, and then you figure it out, pay your bills. And for some reason that scared me. I was like, oh, if I get the 9 to 5, I won't have time to like write and do what I want to do. So it was like, okay, yeah, I'll go to college. I don't want to do this, but I'll go. I'll take the classes. But I don't regret that decision. I think because college wasn't like completely terrible for me. I will say, there's like one or two professors, I still keep in touch with. One even came to like my first big like film festival premiere a few years ago. So there are like, positives from like my going to college, film school experience. But I'll be honest, it was never like on my, 5-year, 10-year plan going to school, college. It was just like that word scared me for years. And I think, my mom, she was like, no, you got to go. My parents didn't go to college. My mom, even till this day, she'll say she regrets she never finished school. So that was like her wish, was like, no, please go do this for me. Like, and then pursue your film stuff. Like, that was just like her wish for me, was to take that advice.
So it was a little bit of living vicariously through you, and
Yeah.
were they proud about your decision to do radio and television and film, or were they kind of like not having it at first?
I know my mom to stay, because we would talk today. Like, I talked today, and she doesn't understand the project stuff. Like, she'll be like, "You still write? Like, how do you write after work?" And what do you mean you still do that? Like,
You're like, it
she
is
still
the
did-
work.
Yeah, I'm like, you make time for it. If you love it, you lose an hour's sleep or so. But yeah, to answer your question, my mom, she wasn't, not that she wasn't happy, but she would still like kind of bring up here and there, oh, so and so's like going to nursing school, or you don't want to become a doctor or nurse. Like, she would casually bring it up. And I just like, no, mom, I'm not gonna do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I know it pays good money, but it's just I would be miserable if I pursued that route. So it wasn't like she never pressured me. She never said you have to stop pursuing radio, TV, film, and you have to go to like become a nurse. I think it was she'd be ecstatic if I made that decision, but I think she knew deep down inside, like, all right, no, her dream's still the same from when she was a kid, and she even said that recently in a conversation with family friends. It was Natalie always said she wanted to do entertainment, pursued television, film, and she's like, yeah, in college when she started saying that, she's like, I couldn't stop her. So I respect that she respected my decision. I think she realized that even graduation. I mean, I need to see how happy she was that graduated, and she was stoked, and I think that kind of like put her worries aside, with I didn't pursue the health industry. Yeah.
I mean,
Very cool.
unless you were going to do like medical films, that would have been like the happy medium.
Grey's
Ugh,
Anatomy.
I know. Probably, yeah. Should be happy. as
Removing the
Meredith Grey.
gallbladder,
Mhm.
101.
Oh no,
Well, no.
I think no for me. It's like I like seeing it on film and TV. That's cool, but in real life, I'm like I'd probably be that person that passed out.
Yeah.
I'd
I
faint.
can't even look when the drop blood.
I can't either. Oh no, I
Okay.
sometimes I'll get squeamish when it's like my own, and people are like, "You have tattoos. You had needles on you before from
It's
tattoos. What do you
different.
mean?"
It's different.
It is. It is different. And I'm like, no, it's not the same. The tattoo, because at least I'm more focused on, because I see the tattoo as like a portrait. It's more like, oh no, you're going to see that painting afterwards. So you're focused on that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, we are live on a Thursday with author, director Natalie Rodriguez, talking about her ongoing projects and about a little bit of her background and her story. How she became an author. Make sure that you are following her. You can go to nataliecrodriguez.com and find her author page and information. There you go.
Okay, blue hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go on Amazon, look for Natalie Rodriguez, and follow her. I see you click that there. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
Thank
and
you.
find her books. Oh, look, pretty decent prices here. $3, $9. Look at you.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
not
go.
bad.
A steal.
They,
Not bad.
they
That's
keep
just
changing. They change.
Let's steal. You're
Yeah.
and then you got the Young Dario animated series that
Do yes.
you're here. So young adult. And some of your films that I saw were a little bit more
Mhm.
on the serious, dramatic side, and kind
Yeah.
of a little existentialist, a little, film noirish. I don't know. They were
Yeah.
definitely moody and
Yeah.
about existence and frustration and stuff like that. So did you but you're telling me you love horror movies. So
I do.
did you ever are you just like a multi-genre as well, or how do you because I also
Yeah.
jump around from genre to genre, but it seems
That's
like
good. Yeah.
usually when they tell you what the path of least resistance is to
Mhm.
being recognized is to find a
Mhm.
genre that's a niche for you and go full
Right.
force there, right? For us that might be comedy.
Right.
um
I agree.
so
Yeah.
at what point did all those sort of genres divide, and do you have a
Mhm.
favorite?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm actually glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that. I was sending out some emails and I'm like, oh yeah, it's interesting. Like the next project I'm be doing another animation, and my friends and colleagues, because they'll point out, they'll be like, I'm surprised you just don't make horror films because like you have the tattoos, and my partner, we have like a bunch of movie posters that are strictly like thriller or horror around the house. So for me, I always just kind of happened to write drama. I think a lot of that was throughout high school, throughout college. I mean, I'll be honest, like I was, struggling a lot with like anxiety, my own, self-esteem. I was insecure, throughout my earlier 20s. And to be honest, a lot of that, I think it was just reflecting on the work. I think I was doing that subconsciously. And then it took me not until within the past, year or so to realize that like, oh, that's how I was kind of coping with my own like self-esteem or just worries I had was through that storytelling. But I will say that shift, I made that shift maybe like 5 years ago. I had wrote a comedy short because I always wanted to write. It's called The D. It means the D for the douchebag, or it can mean something else. Kind of always up to like interpretation. And the D, I did a short film I did with three, buddies of mine. I was originally 5 years ago trying to find, to be honest, actually at the time, director friends of mine. I was reaching out to them hey, I wrote the short, mind directing it? It's not my expertise. I actually said that, like, it's comedy. I've never done comedy. I'll help you produce it. But I had like 3 or 4 directors turn it down. And I thought because it was terrible and they hated it, but actually it was 2 out of the 4 said, no, I think you should direct it. And I thought that was stupid. I was like, no, you guys are dumb. Like, I don't do comedy. But put the script down for about a year, came back later and was like, you know what, screw it. Let's just do it. If anyone's going to script this film, that's kind of my mentality. If anyone's going to script this comedy, it'll be me. Let me try. If it doesn't do well, I mean, all right, I'll just, forget about it. But it ended up being it was super fun to shoot, but it was also one of the hardest because that's where I learned comedy with directing from drama. Comedy feels it feels like choreograph. It's all about the timing. It's all about, that person's movement too over the top. Was that line delivery too over the top? Am I trying to go for camping or am I trying to go for, kind of more of a dry humor? And that actually, I want to say it did well with, friends and colleagues. And we screened at a film festival maybe like a few months later. And we got a good little reception. And I think that kind of, I was glad I saw that. I think I need to see that because I was still always like, for me, we're like our own worst critic. With the D, it was super low budget. I look at it now and I'm like, ooh, cringe. It looks so super low budget. And I edited it too. So you kind of know the tricks you had to pull, like, oh, well, we had extras in the scene before and we shot the scene last. So there wasn't as many extras. And I think, having that first in-person screener for the D, that was, kind of that, I guess that epiphany, like, okay, like it is possible to like go back and forth. Like I can do drama, I can do comedy. Let me continue down that path. And that was kind of, I think just kind of went from there. It was the next project. If, doing table reads with friends or colleagues, if it came off, there's a line someone said and it came off more comedic, I was like, okay, like I'll keep that in mind. Like, all right, so maybe that's gonna be more of a comedic scene versus more of a serious tone. But that's kind of, I'm a firm believer that I think, each creator can go back and forth with different genres. And I personally would love to do that. I don't want to limit myself when it comes to what genre, to pursue.
Well, as you become flooded with opportunities for directing, and you're like, I don't have time for a comedy right now. You can just let me know. I'll be there.
Hand them over.
I got you. I got you. Or
Yeah.
I'll do B unit anytime you need me to.
Unit.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk a little bit about animation then. How do you have to prep for something like that, right? Like how do you transition from storyboarding for live action or working with the locations that you have available to you like an indie filmmaker has to having free reign to create a virtual universe?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Completely different for sure. So my first animation I did last year, it's called Young Dario. It's actually making its debut on screen next month at the Studio City International Film Festival. I don't know which date, but I'll definitely keep an eye out for sure.
Oh.
But that was my first animated series or project in general. So last year, honestly, I was just like going with the flow. Me and one of the other producers on the project, we had worked with like animated bits in film. He was actually my producing partner from a feature I did the year before called Howard Original. We had a little cartoon opening title sequence, but that was it. So it was still very like, we were still majority were working with like crew and, editors and sound designers and colorists. But for the animated series, we were learning as we went, to be honest. A lot of it was, hey, let's make this an animated series because be honest, it was like, hey, we don't have money for like COVID officers. That was still a thing back then.
Yeah.
So we visited the animation idea. I was like, well, maybe if we can do animated, we can work from home. If we have the opportunity, we can go, record on site, for the narration, the dialogue. But even then we were still like, oh, maybe we might have to like mail a mic to the actor themselves. So that was the difference. It was a lot more freedom, working virtual. Definitely, working virtual did make me miss set a lot. There were times I'm like, oh, this would be cool if it was like, I was able to sit with the animator or we had more of a budget where you could be, in a bigger recording booth or recording studio. And, you're able to sit there and actually watch, the process happening versus like, here's the next cut, or here are my notes, all right, here's the next cut to that. And here are my notes again. So definitely I'll say the virtual world, it was interesting. definitely a lot, I wouldn't say easier, because I feel we still had our hardships with the Young Dario, especially coming from low budget. But I'll say easier in a sense of, everyone's kind of their own schedules. It's just making sure like everyone's staying in touch, like, through emails. And a lot of it too, we had a crowdfunding campaign going as well. So we learned heavily with like, you got to promote that. You got to like go bug your peers, family and friends, like, hey, to donate, or hey, if you can't donate, just make sure to share this campaign page. So that definitely was both scary, but I did learn a lot, which was for me, I always try to reflect on that, something scary. It's like, well, I did learn, with the animation, it was, finding that tone. And, I actually got to, pitch to agents and managers with, ultimately got Julio Macias from On My Block. And that was the first time I worked hands-on with like an agent and manager. So that was like completely new for me. But again, me and my producer partner put on our brave faces. We're like, all right, well, we're just gonna like figure it out as we go. But we were just so, we were stoked, and we were just like, I mean, for me, that's our mindset. It's like once we start something, we got to finish it. It was like, no matter
Right.
how bad this project is, we just got to like hit that finish line. That's the goal for this. Yeah.
How do you I'm gonna let Sophia, if you have any question, I'll let you go after this. But how do you
Go for it.
feel? Because as any filmmaker, I struggle sometimes because there's projects that I've called people out for, that we filmed, that we shot
Right.
together, but just I felt weren't good enough. And I felt if I put them out there, it would make everybody look bad. Like I don't ever want to take like our first few films and your first few films that you make usually are horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact, right? Your first 3 films, that's why people go to film school, to make mistakes.
Right.
So our first 3 films, issues, I was everything. I was editor, director, lighting, everything, one
Yeah.
person crew. But there's still, you can still see some artistry in it. And at
Right.
the time you make it and everybody's pumped up about it. But as you progress, unless you're improving, some people are like, just put anything out, put everything out. Do you ever have to be like the governor ratio for yourself, and kind of and how do you feel like young filmmakers and storytellers should approach that?
I will say, I'm definitely key on just put it out there. I think if you're honest and just say, hey, this is my first short, or this is my first, project, we self-funded, I think people will see that and respect it. I've kind of learned that even projects where I felt the opposite, where I felt, oh, I feel this is my best work. And then, we still get a hate comment for, whatever it is,
Right.
they hate the lighting, they hate, the color shirt or whatever, a character's wearing. I think because if you put it out there, it's just, I feel it's like a motivator personally. I feel if you see that and then you put out the next one, you'll be like, okay, like I see like how I took those lessons from like, for example, the first short and applied it to the second. I think it's also like an exercise, it's also to, especially if you are one man showing it, where you're editing and coloring, doing, the one man show behind the scenes. I think it's just better practice. I think because it will encourage you to keep going, or I think too, learn how to tune out those comments. As someone, and it's your first big film, and it's people know that, and they're like, "Oh, you should quit. You suck." It's like, okay, like look at all the other directors. Like they have their share, or they had. I think I always think of Steven Spielberg's Jaws. Like they had like all this stuff go wrong on set, but then it's a cult classic, today. But back then it was like, even someone like Spielberg, or even George Lucas with Star Wars, they were like being told like, "Oh, you guys suck. You're not going to make it." So I always try to. I think that's just key. I think those are just releasing it. It's just that motivator. And I think too, to also see how far you've come. I think it's like that short you released, whatever, years ago, months ago, you'll see like, oh, wow, like I did really improve, or a more self-aware, like, okay, I need to do this for the next one. But I'm also like my own worst critic too. So there are times where I take my own advice, like releasing those shorts or re-promoting them. If it's like an anniversary, especially when Facebook or Instagram shows that, memory feeds. I'll be like, oh God, why am I promoting this? But I hate it. And the minute I do that, I'll still like go ahead and like repost it, because I'm like, no, I have to do that because I have to get over like my own like insecurity with that. So it's like always a mind battle, I think, with yourself too.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I think it's more of an issue when it's not your first film, because I think anybody can understand you. Like, but if you, as you
Yeah.
go along and then you do something and you're like, it's not right, but then all the actors are like, why didn't you release that? And I'm like, because
Yeah.
it was a good idea, but the shoot day was horrible and we didn't really get a lot of the shots, and some of the
Mhm.
scenes are incomplete, and I just always tell them that it exists as a proof of concept, and that
Yeah.
we can always remake it for more money.
Yeah. Or I
love
think
it.
And
that's
I feel bad about
that's
it. I feel
interesting
bad
though,
about
yeah.
it. I feel bad about it all the time, but it's just like I don't want to put out something out there that makes me, and sometimes I release scenes and stuff like that, but it's just tough.
I think
That
it's
being,
natural though.
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to put
this,
out bad, projects.
I'm just
What?
putting
Oh
the,
my
Makes
God.
sense, yeah.
this is our first movie, the beginning
Nice.
of our first two in burrito with our borrowed camera. As
Okay.
every indie film starts off in an apartment, right? I'm all
This is
full of myself.
so
A
early
Luis
YouTube.
a Luis Martinez film, 2 frames side by side. Look at that.
Nice.
Look at those epic cuts from one frame to another frame right
Jeez.
next to it. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I like the establishing shots. Hey,
Established.
that's something they used to say. It's like the film school. They used to say that love for God, like do not open your script or your film with like the alarm clock going off. Like
Yeah.
do not do that. I had every professor like say that in like all the classes I took back in school, and then of course even after college. And it was like, oh, okay, yeah, that would make sense because it's like the cliche
Who did that?
saying.
Who did that?
I was
Who
gonna
started that
say,
movie?
Nice.
you started it. Oh,
Nice.
Right.
It's
But
okay.
It's so
the
nice.
reason but there's a reason I did this, and it is because I knew that, because that's like the
Mhm.
cliche, you
Yeah.
start off with so I steered into the curve, and
Yeah.
the way I flipped it around is our character gets up, the alarm clock gets up, but the reason he sets his alarm clock is so that he can go on the
Mhm.
internet and jerk off and then
Oh,
go back to
nice.
sleep. So he's in love with this hot office. So the
Right
sequence
on.
the sequence is and I won't play it because trigger warning, masturbation.
Yes. Oh, he's gonna have the warnings.
But yeah, the beginning of this film is that, and then there's a secondary wake up scene after that.
Right on.
So
You
I
have to
did
send me
that.
that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd love to watch it.
Sophia's in that.
I
Anyway,
am, yeah.
All
Jesus,
right,
no,
I have to
no,
watch
it's
it.
terrible. I mean, the film is good. It's just it was my first time ever acting ever.
Oh,
So I'm
I'm
like,
sure
I
it is
hate
then.
watching
Yes,
it.
there's-
No, stop it!
look at her, chunky young
Stop
Sophia.
it!
Nice.
Look
Yeah,
at her, look
I'll
at
have to
all.
check it out.
Look at
Where
her.
did my cheeks go? Oh
Look at
my
young
God.
Sophia there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Nice.
So sad.
And I'm sure it's not, but again, I mean, we're like our own worst critics, so it's like
No,
All right, yeah.
I feel that same way, like with my first like film, like oh
Well,
god,
she's got
I
one
have to go
scene
get
in there
this.
that'll forever be in her reel. She's
Like
Nice.
this one.
yeah, it's a zoom in shot on you, and she's showing all kinds of emotion there.
Oh,
That's a good
yeah.
Right
shot.
on. All right. I'll look into that scene. Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh.
Please send me that. I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah,
tonight.
absolutely.
Please
Yeah.
don't.
Like, no, please.
No, please.
I'll
No,
just
no,
watch
no.
every scene but Sophia. Sophia, you can just send me the time codes, like not here while
Yeah,
I'm not
Exactly.
here.
well, it's not like she's in. It's not like
I'm
she's
like in
in a
all of
bunch of, and it's not like she's in a bunch of our movies or anything. So
No,
it's
not at all. No.
not. So if you had to pick a lane, let's say, so I always ask people the this or that question, but let's say you get an option. Okay, Hulu's calling, right?
Oof.
They're like,
Yeah.
we need an animated series. We're gonna
Mhm.
give you 8 episodes.
Mhm.
All right, 10 minutes. But then at the same time, your agent calls and they're remaking. Oh no, or like Scream
Oh,
8
shit.
is up for production,
Nice.
and they'll only pay you scale. But also Barnes and Noble wants you to do like a book tour,
Jeez.
37 cities.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
All right, so which way do you go?
Oh, I feel like my filmmaker peers are gonna kill me because I feel like it's the sellout. I would have to say the Scream, yeah, because it's okay, sis. I was not happy with the last one, so I feel like all right, I would like to help do it some justice, like for Scream 8.
Yes.
And also too, I'm not against like reboots or remakes. I appreciate the filmmakers that do tackle that on and try to give their take and then pay like homage to the original.
Mhm.
But I would feel that would be such like a fun but yet challenging experience.
Mhm.
And I also feel, it's Scream. Like I just, I grew up with Ghostface. I'm one of those weirdos, I knew what Ghostface was by the time I was like 6, 7. So it's like not to age myself, maybe not that young, maybe like 7 or 8, but like I love it. So I would have to be Scream.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you please rank the Scream films in order of your favorite?
Wow.
Okay, yes.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
I
so
have
for
to ask.
me, it'd be Scream, the 96, so the OG. I'm gonna get hate for this. I love Scream 3. That would be the second for me. I love that it's campy. I love that they have, without giving too much away in case someone hasn't seen it, but it's been
Yeah.
like
Place
what,
in
15
college?
years?
The
No.
college one is the second.
Yes.
Yeah.
College one of those. Is the
So
third
we
one in the LA one?
Yeah, the LA
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
And they have like cameos. I love it. It's fine. I know people
It's
like,
very meta. I like it. Yeah.
yeah, I know people
Definitely.
like rip on it, but I'm like, it's so fun. Like I love it. So it'd be like Scream, the original, Scream 3 would be my second spot. Then I would say Scream 4. Scream 4 grew on me a little bit.
Yes.
I hated that when I first saw it, but it's like on Tubi or one of those apps like all the time for free. And I always find myself watching like every month, like just even if it's background noise. I like it. I think it's fun. And I love the characters and I love Kirby, who I think it's Hayden Panettiere that plays
Fuck
her.
yeah. By the way, did you know that her character, this is a spoiler,
Yeah.
is still
Yes, she's coming
okay,
back.
cool.
I think she
Yeah.
posted on Instagram, but it was like a rumor for like, since 4 came out, so for like 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she's coming back because I thought her character was really fun. And then after 4 would be 2, and then the latest one. So I wasn't a fan of the latest one, and I'm a big Jenna Ortega fan. I think she's like the new final girl, and I couldn't get into this last one. I just was disappointed in it for different reasons.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like Scream. I felt like could have been a whole, without giving too much away, but it could have been like a whole, I felt like other serial killer slasher icon.
I think it was a little too quick to kill off its sacred goats. Like I think you could.
That's true. Yeah,
You know
they
what I
don't
mean?
have
Like-
anyone left. Nev Campbell isn't coming back.
Yeah.
Certain
No,
characters.
They went all in.
I think it's just Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers. But I'm curious if she's gonna be like she's gonna pass the torch off to Jenna Ortega, and I think it's Melissa from In the Heights.
Yeah.
I think it's In the Heights and Vita. I think she was in Vita too.
Mhm.
But I'm curious if Nev Campbell. I'm afraid she's just gonna be like a cameo, like even less scenes than she had in the previous Scream. Because I'm like, oh no, she's like the only one. I wonder if it's just gonna be like 1 or 2 scenes, and then it's like that's kind of it. For
Maybe
Gail
like a
Weathers.
phone call.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a phone call, and you're like, oh, there's a quick cutaway. Oh, damn.
I mean, the obvious thing would be to make her go insane and turn out to be the killer at the end, right? That would be
Interesting.
That would be the best.
Actually, I was for, I don't know if we talk about this. I think it was a rumor, but the last one, I think there were theories it was Stu. Like, Stu was supposed to be like the killer. And like this entire time he was like in a rehab or like some type of hospital. And I was so convinced that was going to be the ending and the big twist in the last Scream movie. So I was all for that. Maybe that's why I didn't like the last Scream, because I hyped it up for myself. And of course, that was nowhere close to what the film was.
Yeah.
But I feel like they should do that with one of the characters. I'm like, at this point, why not? I mean, we're already like, what, 6?
Yeah, I mean, go for it. Yeah, steer into the curve. Why don't you?
Yeah,
exactly.
It could be done. I think it can be done in a very cool and fun way.
All right, we've been talking live here with Natalie Rodriguez, author, director, about her ongoing projects. You can find Young Dario. You can look for her artist page and find all her shows. She's on Tubi, right? Or
yeah, Tubi, Freevee, Roku, and Amazon Prime.
Cool. And your production company is called
it's Extraordinary Pictures.
Extraordinary Pictures as well. And we are talking live about her passions in life, about her ongoing projects, and what got her to where she is today. We're going to continue to talk that. I'm going to play a little clip that our friend Kurt Griwan, who does our intro music and who does music for 2M Burrito, made for us. Next Thursday, October 27th, 8 p.m., we're going to be having our Halloween show. Special guest, special effects icon, Joe Castro, Andrew Hada, horror filmmaker from San Antonio, is going to be here, and maybe hopefully some other surprise guest. So tune in next Thursday. He made a little promo video for us.
liked it.
love
It was
Kurt.
fun.
That was
He said,
great.
literally, I will talk to Kurt and I will say, hey, I need something for this. And you'll be like, what style? What things?
Nice.
And blah, blah. And then I'll just be going about my day. And then 2 hours later, I'll have a file in my inbox. And he's like, oh. And then this
Right
time
on.
he's like, are you doing a Halloween show? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, can I write you an intro song, like in the style of the Misfits? And I was like, yeah.
Nice.
And then he sends me that like an hour
Very
later.
cool.
So thank you, Kurt.
That's a
Well,
keeper. No, go
yeah, that's
for
a
it.
keeper. Yeah, that's
a good
definitely
one.
it's definitely yeah. He goes
Yeah.
above and beyond for us.
Yeah, we love Kurt.
Right
All
on.
right, so talking here with Natalie Rodriguez live. I wanted to since Sophia, did you have any other questions pertaining to Natalie
I
specifically?
think I wanted to know a little more about Extraordinary Pictures and kind of how you went
Yeah.
about creating that and where you see it going in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. So Extraordinary Pictures, I actually started it originally because going into my first feature, The Extraordinary Ordinary, we were SAG after low budget, and I was like, oh, we're required to have a company name. So that's the reason why I did create it originally. But then I think once I got it registered, you go through the whole like Secretary of State. It sounds less, it's less intimidating than it sounds, but like when you register with the state and you have all that, bank account, all that stuff. I think that I started realizing like, okay, like I really have to like establish like, a tone or a theme with this company. And I ended up originally named it, first of all, I should say, I named it Extraordinary Pictures because I wanted to name it after The Extraordinary Ordinary because that first feature is always going to hold a special place in my heart. And I was like, I want to pay tribute to it. So I felt, Extraordinary Pictures, that word extraordinary is coming from that title. And I think over the past few years, after The Extraordinary Ordinary and moved on to doing the next project after I was a dark comedy satire, I, focusing more on, projects that are dealing with, either social themes, something like mental health or recovery. Those are things we see in The Extraordinary Ordinary, the first feature for the company. And also, projects that, are we can relate to an audience, people that can also watch with your, adults with children, with their kids or, siblings and family. That's definitely, I want to say the ongoing theme with Extraordinary Pictures. We have different styles, ones where if someone wants to watch, their independent drama, they can. If they want to watch on their computer or their phone, nowadays it's amazing we can even do that. Or if, someone wants to watch something that's more on the lighter side, they can do that with the upcoming Young Dario, which is, about a young boy who is going through, different, life experiences as a child, and he's turning to his abuela or his grandma for, this life advice and like what to do when it comes to like awkward, embarrassing moments. So that's definitely something I want to continue, that path on. I love going back and forth with different genres. I think it keeps me sane, to be honest, because I think when I was doing dramas for a long time, it could get a little heavy and dark, and you're like, oh gosh, like it'd be nice to kind of do something that's the complete 180. So I like the back and forth, and I'm hoping that can still, that will continue, to be the path for Extraordinary Pictures, in the years to come.
Oh,
It's interesting that it's important that you mentioned mental health there. We had talked the other day virtually where it's a little bit more commonplace now, but we had a get together for my birthday, I think, earlier this year, and it was probably about 7-8 friends. We hadn't probably really hung out together since COVID, and at just some point during the like while we were having a couple of beers, everybody was just sort of giving their mental health check-in, like
it was kind of beautiful.
we're just going around the table, and everybody was like, yeah, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm at, and like I said, it did feel very cathartic and something that really, for myself growing up, nothing that would have happened 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So do you think that that being able to make art that's around it and this is sort of contributing to that conversation being able to happen more freely between people and peers, and why is that something that's so important to you and to focus on in your films?
Oh, I definitely think actually I feel relieved people are talking about it more, even if it is kind of like what you're saying, your birthday, it's people like, man, this COVID's taking a toll on me physically, emotionally. I think unfortunately that was I feel that's like the upside, right? With the pandemic, it's the unfortunate is, people that, had, their life, completely changed because of this pandemic. But I also feel, the perk side I could think of it's, well, people are, ones who are still here, from if they caught COVID or not, they're still here and present. I feel more people are taking care of themselves. They're keeping in check themselves. Like, okay, something feels wrong physically. I gotta like, figure that out. So I agree. I think even like, gosh, I think even when I was in college, that wasn't really talked about. Therapy, counseling, or I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling anxious. That wasn't really like touched upon. And definitely, I think with the films, I want to say I think because my first bigger project, The Extraordinary Ordinary, was dealing with you know, strictly mental health and recovery for different characters at various stages in their recovery journey. I feel that definitely encouraged me to, make sure I was okay, going into a heavy like shoot like that, even though you can talk about it and prep, as much as you can with the actors, with the behind the scenes people. It's, you're gonna have your hard days. Film shoots are still, you're gonna have, good days, bad days. It's still a job. So I think definitely, I think because that was my first bigger project, it definitely encouraged me, to make sure I was taking care of myself physically, mentally on set, or I was also setting boundaries, with the cast and crew. It was like, we don't want to play therapist with each other. We also want to check each other, but like, how do you find a fine line of balance? Oh, that's my partner, Dan.
Ah,
Uh,
Rudy.
Gabagool.
Gabagool.
Yeah,
Gabagool.
Sopranos. We've been watching that recently, so.
Gabagool over here.
Oh man, I wonder if he knows that, or if he's just like, oh shoot, I didn't know that. Papa. Oh man,
Oh yeah,
I
I give
don't
up.
know.
I mean, we also had 1-8 actually come by.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Cyra-
very cool.
Cyra's here. Hey, Cyra,
Hi,
thanks for
Robles.
Yeah,
stopping by.
I forgot I
Um,
talked about. I was thinking about Sopranos.
The Sopranos. Is it your first time watching it, or is it a rewatch?
Yes, it is. First
Well,
time
how far are
watching
you?
it.
How far are you?
Okay. Oh, hold on. My virgin
Season
ears.
3.
Hold on.
Season
Do
3.
you
Season
recommend
3.
it?
Okay, got it. All
I
right.
do. Yes, I actually think
Okay.
it's living up to the hype that I've been hearing. I mean, gosh,
I would be
first time out.
interesting to see how you feel about it once you get done with it. If you want to, I'd love to.
I do know the last episode because I actually remember seeing. I think my parents had like a viewing party or something. 'Cause I remember seeing like that last minute.
You already know how it ends, basically.
I do, but I
Okay.
don't know how
Oh.
they get there. So I'm
Okay.
actually curious about that. And then I think too, film school also like ruined that. I think they mentioned it in one of my classes. They're like, "Oh, that's how it ends," and you're like, "Wait, I haven't watched it yet, man." Come
Literally,
on.
the final scene of The Sopranos, and without giving any spoilers away,
Yeah.
is a class on
Mhm.
filmmaking and point of views and a bunch of other stuff. There, it's like literally
Yeah.
David Chase. I could do a whole. I actually did an entire episode of Ed Wood Film School about it. I just never
Yeah.
released it. It was just me
Wow.
talking about the whole scene and how it breaks everything down and shows you
Oh,
this,
very
shows you
cool.
that. How there can be no ambiguity as to how it ended because of the way that they structured the scene.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what you feel about it as a filmmaker.
I have to post like my reaction to that because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna definitely my partner and he's loving it, but I'm like, oof, I feel I know the spoilers just from like word of mouth over the past few years. Like there's
Yeah.
another character, I think it's is it Adriana?
Mhm.
She's played by Drea. I always get her name's Andrea. She's like a bunch of she was in Sons of Anarchy and she's in a lot of films and TV shows, but I got a spoiler of her character like from I think it was like my mom. I have this memory of my mom talking about that character years ago. Um
It's a
'Cause I was
great
like,
show. It's a great
yeah,
show.
All right.
It's
Twist
a
my
comedy.
arm. I'll
It's a
watch
comedy
it.
too.
I
You
do
know,
recommend it. Yeah.
I
And
have
Tony, he is funny too. They get little
the whole
cool
show's a comedy.
lines.
The whole show's a
Yeah.
comedy. Like if you I mean on a second or third watching you realize how like all the comedy that's in there.
Okay.
That
That's
maybe it's
interesting.
not maybe that's not a first watch type situation, but I've rewatched it now probably about 6 or 7 times, and
Nice.
Whoa.
I probably rewatch it every. Well, remember we used to have to wait till Sunday nights to see this
Mm,
show. We didn't. You
yeah.
couldn't binge it. So
Oh, all the way through? You rewatched it all the way through?
I've rewatched it all the way through probably about 3 times, and I've rewatched it skipping over some of the
Oh
therapy
wow.
scenes a couple of times.
Right.
But
Okay.
that was like on the
Oh,
fourth,
that makes
fifth
sense.
rewatch. Yeah. So, but it isn't. Yeah, it's definitely a good show. Definitely. I mean,
It
for me,
is.
like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
up there with what The Wire, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Now it's
The
definitely
Wire's next for me.
okay.
I recommend getting HBO Max. HBO Max, they have The Sopranos, so I feel like they're starting to bring back a lot of like the shows from like the earlier 2000s, 90s.
You got a lot of cool stuff on HBO Max.
Yeah.
They got South Park. They
Barry
got
too.
the Boondocks. They
Barry's a
got
good
a
one.
bunch of.
Very
Barry's
know,
a
I
really
was-
good show.
Yeah.
What I was rewatching for a little bit, it's funny because you mentioned you watched Sopranos like 6 or 7 times. That was me with Dexter. Like I swear I rewatched that like 2 or 3 times during the pandemic. And I was just like, I should probably find like a new show. This isn't like normal. I don't think to like be rewatching this over and again.
Problem with Dexter is it should have ended after the Trinity Killer season, and they had the literal they had the literal perfect ending after the John Lithgow season of where if they ended it right there, that was the perfect place. Even if you wanted to bring it back a few years later, but then it all goes downhill after that. It all goes downhill after that, and they just kept it on for money.
Yeah,
Same,
money.
Same can be said for Sons of Anarchy.
I love that show too.
It's supposed to be Hamlet with a motorcycle club, but then all of a sudden they extended it, and they kept extending it until it just became so ridiculous at the end.
Yeah.
And I think that one, Sons of Anarchy, there was like, wait, what's happening? Like again,
Yeah,
like I
what's
think I
happening?
actually got like literally lost, even though I was following it like, week to week.
My favorite part of Sons of Anarchy is that they would drive everywhere in California. They would go to 9 different locations in California, all through the same 2-lane highway, and they would just be like, "We got to go visit this guy in prison, and now we got to go to blah blah blah," and then it was just like, bam, bam, bam. It was like the dragon flight in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
is teleportation.
The teleportation.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that means Sons of Anarchy. I can see that.
Nice.
All right, well, Natalie,
Yeah.
you love all genres,
I do,
but
yeah.
Yes.
but
But
No limits.
hold on a second.
I know where this is going. Ah.
Which one do you love the
Oh
most?
man. Oh no, now I'm nervous. I'm like, I gotta eliminate.
No. This is something that
Something
like
we like
to call-
do. Yeah.
something we like to do with all our guests. Something we like to call the bracket bit.
All right, boys and girls, you know what that sound means. It's time for bracket bit. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Woo, 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 woo. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Woo, 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 woo.
Fireside chat.
Bracket bit. Let's
That's
do it.
right. It's time for bracket bit. The heavy lifting part of the interview is over, which means I can relax for a second.
Nice.
And we can do the bracket bit. I don't have to remember questions or be too cognizant anymore. All right. So
Yeah.
you love horror movies.
Yeah.
You love the
do.
horror genre. You're wearing a
Yeah.
Shining shirt.
I know. Woo. Shout out, yeah, to the Shining.
It is Halloween time. So
It
for tonight's bracket bit, I have decided to do a horror movie face-off.
Oh.
Nice.
I'm going to give you 2 popular horror movies and
okay.
their
Excellent.
accompanying franchises. So they're playing as a franchise versus
Franchise.
each other. Some of them are solo, some of them are franchises. You decide which one moves on until we have a winner. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah. I'm ready.
All right, in
ready.
our first bracket, we have Halloween, or I don't know if I would consider this a huge horror movie, but it's definitely a movie, The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
I gotta say, my boy Michael Myers. I mean, I think
The
I love
reason
my
it's
boy
the number
Mikey.
1 seed. Gotta go. Not going. Halloween.
Good choice.
Halloween, yeah. I like Michael Myers.
Mhm.
Blair Witch Project,
Okay.
or Alien.
Oof. I love my indie horror, so I gotta say Blair Witch Project. I
Is
just
Alien really a horror movie? I guess it is.
It would be more sci-fi, I'd say.
I think so. I would say it's like or maybe sci-fi with like horror
Horror.
elements.
Horror elements. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sci-fi
face
thriller?
huggers are fucking scary as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a creepy watch. Like it's creepy, but yeah.
Never
that's
mind my writing here, but It Follows, which is newer horror, or
Ooh.
The Exorcist.
Oof. I gotta go with The Exorcist. I mean, Linda Blair. I gotta go with her.
All right, we got to go Tremors or
Okay.
Poltergeist.
Oof. That's a tough one.
Supernatural or the horror is real and it's underneath us?
I gotta say Tremors. I
Ooh.
think Tremors. I know.
Yeah, Robles. Agreed.
Tremors.
Tremors. All
Although
right.
Poltergeist is a great film too, but yeah, Tremors is, instincts pointing toward that one.
That's true.
Well, you know what? The bracket is created for maximum pain, so you are my test rat. You are the subject.
Right on.
But whatever methodology you decide to use to fix is completely up to you. You can sometimes, I say, when people have a difficult choice, if you had to watch one movie next, which one would you pop into the DVD player? You know what I mean?
True.
Or
Yeah.
that's sometimes that's usually how I like to decide. Silence
True.
of the Lambs or Hellraiser.
Gotta go with my Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Silence of the
Great,
Lambs.
great film.
The Fly or Nosferatu.
Oof. You know what?
Classic horror or body horror.
I know. You know what? The Fly creeps me out. I gotta say, The Fly. I saw it for the first time about 2 months ago.
Really?
Gross special effects, but it's hard to not cover your eyes. I mean, you have to look at this. It's just impressive what they've done, or what they did back then. I mean, Fly it is. I mean, oof.
Yeah.
It's one of those films. I don't give too much away, but it's gross.
Yeah, don't. I have not seen it.
Listen, and as far as not film school, but just modern kind of YouTube film school, The Fly is a perfect example of a linear script that doesn't have too many B plots or segues, and it is a straightforward, perfect focused story arc. It doesn't deviate a lot. It is if you want to learn about story, The Fly is not necessarily only because of the body horror, because it's fucking Cronenberg, because it's a brilliant performances, because of the cool special effects even for the 80s.
Definitely.
All practical. But definitely as a story, it is very perfect. It is a great example of how to tell a very linear, simple story.
I agree.
Nightmare on Elm Street franchise or the new horror weirdy drug best
What's
movie
Mandy?
to do heavy drugs for. Mandy is this Nick Cage, just kind of it's a free for all, man. It's out there.
Mandy Nick Cage.
I gotta go with my Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I recommend Mandy. It is it's interesting to see Nick Cage in that type of role. I'm still always picturing him from what's it called? Con Air. That's always the one film.
Yeah, that's a go-to.
I no longer do hard drugs, but I will say that Mandy would be the title of best movie that's currently out to do hard drugs to, surpassing Hobo with a Shotgun for me, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, which surpassed obviously a bit of the Ultra Violence, which is the all-time best movie for hard drugs. But that's neither here or there. We don't do that anymore, and we don't promote drug use. So, but
he says taking a swig.
Swig.
No, heavy. There's California sober, Sophia.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
Listen.
Jaws or The Shining?
The Shining. Who would I be?
You're wearing the shirt.
I know.
She's wearing the shirt. She's wearing the shirt.
Who would I be saying the other one?
Jaws is a horror movie.
I kind of see it as a thriller a little more.
Yeah.
Kind of
it's weird. The horror genre does have all. It's horror, and there's all these.
There's subgenres, within.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate you for that next one. I hate you.
Scream or The Ring.
And I saw Scream from here. My eyes went there, so gotta be Ghostface. Scream it is.
What, did you have an issue with this one? Do you like The Ring, Sophia?
Well, I just love The Ring as well. I don't know. It played a formative part in my horror development.
Oh, okay.
Me liking.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was thinking 6th grade when it came out. So I don't know. It's just The Ring, and then scary movies that came after as well. All of that. It's just it holds a special place in my heart, man.
I must have been in 6th grade when it came out.
I know. I'm not to date ourselves.
I'm still young.
Listen. I'm an elder millennial. Leave me alone. I am no longer young.
That's okay. I think
yeah,
I
no,
was like in
it's
the
great.
6th grade
Like,
when that came
It was like
out. I was
32 when
like,
The Ring came out. I think I was in 6th grade when that came out.
You know what? Shut up. Whatever.
It's okay.
Whatever.
All right, two modern horror
Oh, man.
masters. We got
Mhm.
Nope, Us, Get
Ooh.
Out,
Ooh.
Jordan Peele,
All
or
of
we
the
got
above.
Midsommar, Hereditary, Ari
Uh,
Lasher.
it's got to be Ari for me. Midsummer, Hereditary. I love those films. I just show my
Yeah.
partner those films over the summer, and he hates them. So we're in a debate like why he thinks those are the most boring films ever. But I just love
Boring.
them. Yeah, he's not a big fan of
Were
those.
you able to sleep after watching Hereditary?
No. Hereditary
Okay,
did
same.
freak me out.
Mhm.
Tony Collette, she's just amazing. And I think I
Yeah.
slept with like my light on. I think I saw that during earlier pandemic days, right? Because nothing to do. So all I did was like
Yeah.
watch movies or TV. That
Yeah.
did freak me out. And then Midsummer, it like gave me anxiety. I just remember like
Mhm.
watching it and you're just like, what the F? What the F? Like, wait, what? Like, but
Yeah.
they're just so like they're films I can rewatch over again. I just think they're
Mhm.
so beautifully shot, and it's just such a I don't know, they're just, it sounds cliche, but they're just so original. It's like I can't think of any other films that really like story wise that other films that kind of mocked. Maybe more visuals. Like I know Midsummer's been compared to The Wicker Man.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, they're just yeah, no, Hereditary, yeah, just that did freak
It's
me
so
out
good.
the first few.
Yeah.
I
Same.
like Midsommar better than Hereditary myself. I do think
Me
Really?
that,
too.
yeah,
I would say Midsummer a little
I
bit.
do like, I just like how cold she was at the end. I don't know. I just felt like,
Yeah.
but then it was like, what did I read? Oh, there was a like a follow-up take where it was like, Midsommar is really about
Mm.
like uh like white power, or
Oh
not
shoot.
necessarily like the cult represents you know what I mean? Like it was something, it was like the cult is obviously one of those takes,
Mm.
like the cult in this
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
represent not white power, but you know, what am I trying to say
I'm
here?
thinking
Whatever your agenda is, it can represent that.
Yeah,
Perfectly
basically
fine.
it's like, yeah, that's or something, right? Like that's that,
yeah.
because they're trying to keep like a pure race and they're doing this, and I was like, I just thought it was
Mm.
about like a crazy ass cult, but I could
I
see
saw
how
that
that's
too.
supposed, so there's that thing.
Damn.
uh I did
Sneaky.
I do love that both of these directors are directors where you get
Mhm.
you get more stuff out of the films the second and third time that you watch them, like
I
Midsommar
agree.
with all the
Mhm.
Mhm.
telegraphed, stuff that's happening in the backgrounds,
Mhm.
and then and Get Out and Nope, all the stuff, and Us, all the stuff, all the signs that you get, before you get that. So these are definitely, it's
Mhm.
awesome that over the last like 7 years, these two directors have been, brand new directors to the horror scene, are just fucking putting
Yeah.
out some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we got Final Destination franchise versus A Quiet Place.
Oh, I gotta go with my Final Destination. Oh, those are so
Mhm.
fun. Again, they're
Yeah,
films
they
I can always
are.
like rewatch again.
Yeah,
Even like
and no,
I like number 5. It's like when that come out, maybe like I think that was a newer one. I love that one. I know it gets kind of ripped apart, but it's a fun watch. I think it's with the bridge. I think that
nobody's nobody's ever driven behind an 18-wheeler with some logs on
nope.
top of it without getting flashbacks to that
Oh
movie
yeah. Yeah,
for
that
10
meme.
years.
And I always remember the memes like, yeah, no, they're right.
All right, we got Carrie or
Uh,
Gremlins.
I gotta go with Carrie. I'm supposed to see that this week. Hollywood Forever is doing a screening at Cinespia.
Nice.
Very
I love
cool.
Carrie. Such a beautiful film. I mean, it's just great performances. Sissy, and I always forget the woman's name plays her mom, but she scared the hell out of me growing up as a kid. Like they put the mom of Carrie.
Mhm.
All right, we got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the Evil Dead
Oof.
franchise.
Ooh, I know because I really like the last Evil Dead. Oh
Yeah, it's really
man,
good.
I'm gonna say Evil Dead. They're
Over
just such
over
great films.
Leatherface.
Yeah, just I love Ash, and then they got the TV show. Was it Ash versus Evil?
Okay.
And
All right.
so
That's
fun.
fine. It's your choice. All right, we got the Lost Boys, which I was actually almost, it was playing here locally at
Mhm.
Film Out
Oh, nice.
thing, and it was they were playing it on the big screen, but I was on set yesterday, so I couldn't go.
Oh,
But that's
nice.
probably one of my favorite movies. I actually have have a treatment of something that's the Lost Boys meets something else, but the Lost
Right
Boys
on.
or Psycho.
I gotta go with the Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I think they're remaking it or rebooting, I
unfortunately.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. I'm
It's
curious to see
Maggots
how that turns
Michael.
out.
It's such a great 80s movie. It's a fucking
Yeah.
perfect 80s movie.
Mhm.
All right, Cujo or The Thing?
Mm. Oh god, I just saw The Thing not too long ago too for the first time.
Oh,
Who
nice.
drew The Thing? Oh god, it's kind of a hard one.
Animals Attack or
A thing attacks. Animals are things.
You know, I gotta say The Thing. I
Yeah.
think it's
it's a classic? You can't go wrong with The Thing.
trippy.
Yeah.
That one was a trippy one, and Kurt Russell. I mean,
Yeah.
such a badass.
This
I
movie,
feel like there are no wrong answers in this bracket.
I
movie's
They're all
know.
being
amazing.
I'm
this
like, don't
movie's being
judge.
this movie's being marketed as a movie that makes people pass out and throw up in their theaters.
Ah, yes.
It's Terrifier 2 of the
Mhm.
Terrifier franchise or Friday the 13th.
I'm going with Terrifier because I just saw the
Really?
sequel to yesterday and I loved it. I
What?
want to
Why
watch it
haven't I
again.
heard of this?
Art the Clown? No,
Terrifier.
never.
Yeah,
No.
they're I've never seen any of the Terrifier movies, so I
Oh,
definitely want to, like, very soon, as in probably after this pod tonight.
yeah,
But
definitely watch it.
Oh my
but
god.
but I'm just more interested in the way it's some of these newer horror movies are getting,
Mhm.
like, I went with my friend and they passed out halfway through the movie. I had a great rest after the
Yeah.
EMS workers got him out of there. I had a great rest of my night.
Oh my god.
Do you feel that any of these types of movies ever are, because I know
Mhm.
we've talked to Miguel from the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival here in San Diego,
Mhm.
and
Very
he's
cool.
he does a horror film festival. He's like one of the top 5
Mhm.
rated horror festivals in the US.
Nice.
And we talk a lot about the reasons for horror, like South American, Mexican horror, and kind of where it comes
Mhm.
from as like a response to trauma and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and stories. And then there's horror movies from Italy, from Japan that tackle different
Right.
types of stuff, and Eastern
Yeah.
European. It's in Spain. It's like it's a conversation about fascism, disguised as a
Mhm.
movie, right?
Mhm.
But then there's just like uh like just horror porn, just like
Yeah.
this other
Torture
genre
porn.
that's just like torture porn. Like, I just want to make
Yeah.
something nasty and
Mhm.
disgusting and
Yeah.
Mhm.
and to make people puke.
Human Centipede. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, that film scarred me. Like no joke, for like a month. I
Same.
just would think
Is
of
that
the
like
scenes and I cringe. I'm like, oh God, no.
Mm-mm.
That's the one film that got to me. Yeah, that and actually no, Human Centipede and is it Itchy the killer? Itchy the serial
Itchy the
killer?
Killer? Itchy the
I can
Killer?
never watch that film. I try and I
Mm.
always like, yeah, I'm getting scarred.
Yeah.
That's where I
Yeah,
wimp out. That's where I tap out
it's
for
so
those.
good though, Itchy.
Yeah, I know I hear him. I gotta like
It's
maybe Terrifier 2, because I know Terrifier 2. I mean, I think there's like I don't want to give so much away, but there are like moments you're like, oh yeah, no, they went there. But I'm curious if it's maybe possibly gorier than Itchy. I've been
Okay.
hearing some of those comparisons, so if I can
Mm.
stomach Terrifier
Um,
2, maybe I can
yeah, I guess
stomach the
like
other.
a
Yeah.
Serbian movie is a movie that's been
Oof.
sort of like that you don't you just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, it is what it is. But they said the same
Or
thing about like Cannibal Holocaust or something up now,
yeah,
So
and I think
Cannibal
Martyr.
Holocaust, they actually brought the people up in front of the trial and said, prove to us you didn't kill
Yeah,
this person.
yeah.
That's how legit the effects were there. They killed a bunch of animals though,
Oof.
and then pretended to kill a person, and then
Mhm.
they actually had to show up in court with them and say, hey, look, they're not dead.
Oh my god.
Cyrus says not horror technically, but can never rewatch Requiem for a Dream. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, I
I can
love Requiem
understand
for a
that.
Dream so much. Salo is another movie like that I don't really rewatch. I mean, there's all
Salo.
kinds of movies that I can't rewatch, either horror movies or some that
Right.
are really, really good. Like, I don't really like to rewatch Schindler's List or, for example, City of God, because I think
Yeah.
they're both powerful movies, but they
Mhm.
also have a lot of sad stuff in it. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like once is enough. But I was just kind of interested in how you felt about those sort of different levels of horror and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I know. I could see that. I mean, for me, like Terrifier, I know some people are I feel the director Damien, he reminds me of Eli Roth. Like I feel there's actually a story and purpose to the people being so sadistic and brutal,
Mhm.
like Art the Clown, or like we see in Hostel, by Eli Roth. Um, and I think like Hostel, I can rewatch. I can watch the first one over again. The sequel, there's a infamous scene. I gotta usually like fast forward through that part, but where the girl's hanging upside down. That's all I'll say.
Oh,
But
the Virgin Blood
Yeah.
one.
yeah, like that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, once enough. But I feel like there's actually like a story behind them, so I don't feel like evil, not Evil Dead. I don't feel like Hostel or Terrifier are like up there with a Serbian film or Martyrs. I think Martyrs is another one.
Martyrs. Yeah.
Ooh,
I never
yeah,
watched
maybe.
it. I've had my partner, whenever I bring it up, he's like, I don't want to talk about that. Can we change the subject? Like he gets pretty like I feel like I hit a trigger point. So I'm like, all right, if he's like, no, like I'm pretty sure like I can't make
The other
it.
thing about Martyrs is you want to be secure in your place in the universe before you watch that, because
Oof.
it's more of like an existential horror film about
Yeah.
Oh
nothing
gosh.
mattering, and that's more the real, like, the horror is that you just look at your life and you're like, what's the point? That's
Oh
basically the
gosh.
horror of Martyrs.
Oh no.
But it
The Mist.
is an interesting, The Mist.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
The
Mist.
Mist is a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Side note.
Sad one.
Uh, uh, Takashi Mike, right? Takashi Miike from Ichi the Killer. His best movie, if you haven't seen it, is 13 Assassin,
Oh,
and
I've heard of that.
that
Okay.
is
13 Assassins.
to any filmmaker that I talk to, I always make sure that you watch that, because that is,
On my watch
because
list. Yeah.
Takashi Miike, obviously he did Ichi the Killer, and he does a lot of those extreme, like he does all kinds of genres, Japanese cop movies, all kinds of shit. But 13 Assassin, it's a
Okay.
siren. There's a
Mhm.
45-minute samurai battle towards the end of the movie. It is a
Really?
fucking, yeah,
Oh.
it is a
Hey.
fucking beast of a movie, and it's really cool. So it's recently become like one of my probably like top 15, 20 movies that I've ever seen. It's definitely a masterpiece.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it
Underrated.
out.
Also,
Nice.
side note, favorite Eli Roth movie? Knock Knock
Ooh,
with Anna de Armas and Keanu
that's a
Reeves.
good one.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, Anna.
I am
I
not
did hear.
surprised.
I did hear in one of your episodes today. Yeah, Anna, that's your hands down woman crush.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
that's
She
my
can do it wrong.
yeah. That
I
she
was
can
like,
do.
oh
She
yeah,
can do
she's
no
in
wrong.
that.
Yeah,
I was
she can.
listening to it in another podcast. Eli Roth was. I didn't know that was her first American film. Knock Knock. I guess she was doing
Yeah.
a. Eli Roth was saying in the interview today that I think before that she was just doing films from Spain or different
Mhm.
countries, and I guess he just like, discovered her at a festival or something.
Rosa knows what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like Knock Knock. I've been trying to get like more people to watch that. I feel
It was
bad 'cause
free pizza.
yeah, I feel like because people are like, "Oh, Keanu Reeves in a horror film." I
Yeah,
feel like I get that a lot. But like, no, it's really entertaining. And I
yeah,
like
it's fun.
Lorenzo. I think that was Eli Roth's like wife at the time. She plays the
Yes.
other girl.
Mhm.
I love her. I mean, I thought she was great in Knock Knock. I love The Green Inferno. I know some people don't like that film, but it's so
Yeah,
fun. It's campy and
yeah, I mean,
I like
but
the style.
they stick the weed inside the guy that they're gonna eat to get the
Yes.
whole pizza. That's just, like, that's what I would do.
There's a fun line for regarding that scene, and you're just like, oh, it's just fun.
All right, we got a bracket to finish. Stop stalling,
Yes.
Natalie. All right, we're
Oh,
going
I
back up to
know.
the top. We
I
got
don't
a
want.
Halloween or the Blair Witch Project. Halloween, a
Cool.
classic, or found footage.
I gotta go with my Michael Myers. Yeah,
All
Michael
right.
Yeah.
Myers any day.
The Exorcist or Tremors.
I gotta say The Exorcist
Mhm.
still creeps me out. Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs or The Fly.
Oof. I think I'm gonna say The Fly. Yeah,
Oh,
young Jeff Goldblum. I mean, yeah, Gina
probably
Davis.
in a nice
Cronenberg. Did you watch?
cafe.
Did you see
Mhm.
Crimes of the Future?
No, not yet. I gotta see that though. I added to my list earlier this week. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Worth it?
It's
What is
that.
it? Crimes of the Future?
Yeah, it's the
Nice.
same director as The Fly. It's Cronenberg's last
Mhm.
movie. What's Vampire
Kirst-
Girls in it?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Kristen Stewart. I was like, what's her name?
I'm such
Yeah.
a fucking boomer.
You really are.
Like a Twilight chick.
Girl,
Oh,
this is
yes, they do.
this is
say.
like a random note, but there was
Viggo Mortensen.
no there was this guy and his uncle. They were asking his uncle like what he was watching on TV. This was like in the like late 90s. And there's this
Okay.
old Italian dude, and he's like, "Hey, uncle, what are you watching?" He's like, "Buffy the Vampire Slayer," right? And then they were like, what's that about? And the uncle goes, Jubrod hunts vampires. That was his entire definition of the show was Jubrod hunts vampires. Buffy the
Nice.
Vampire Slayer. I think that's actually on the IMDb credit page. I don't know
Oh,
that.
awesome. Good check
That's
it.
No. Nightmare on Elm Street or The Shining?
Oof.
Oh no, kills Draculas. That was what it was. She kills
Draculas.
Dracula. She kills Draculas.
Kills Dracula.
That was
I was like, is that a film title? Did I miss out? No, but that's for Buffy. Oh man, The Shining or Freddy? I gotta say The Shining. It's just one of those I can rewatch as I'm getting older. I can rewatch over and over again. It's just beautiful
Yeah, and
work.
it's referenced in so many other movies, and it's just like it's such a like icon. You can't get away from The Shining.
And Doctor Sleep's good too. I want to point that out. The sequel, technically.
Yeah, I was gonna put that on there because technically
Goodbye.
it is part of. Yeah, I did. You know what? I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought.
I did too. Yeah,
I
know.
was
I think
like,
it bombed technically at the box office.
Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button here. Where do I get my stuff here back? Sorry.
Oh no.
I don't know.
What happened?
It didn't do well at the box office, but when it's a sequel to something so iconic, and it's been that long, it kind of gets like that Godfather 3 treatment. Like, is this gonna suck or is this gonna be any good?
Yeah.
You never know. But The
Yeah, that
Shining
makes
is a
sense.
classic. Yeah. You said that.
Okay.
No, you said The Shining, right? Oh no,
No, we're still on the bottom.
Sorry.
Oh, it moved.
Yeah. No.
You're
I put it here by mistake, but we'll deal with that. All right. So Scream or
Okay.
Midsommar Hereditary? The Scream franchise versus Ari Lasher.
Gotta go with Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream it is.
Carrie or
all
Final Destination?
Oof, I gotta say Carrie.
Evil Dead or Lost Boys? Campy.
Ooh.
I gotta say Evil Dead. That last one, I think it's 2013. I love that film. That's so good.
Kills Dracula.
It's really
The Terrifier or The Thing?
Art the Clown, hands down, all the way.
Ooh, I need to watch this one then.
But
Yeah,
versus
watch
Evil
it.
Dead.
Watch it.
The Clown versus Evil Dead.
I gotta go with the Clown.
Wow.
No, I gotta see part 2 again. I keep thinking about it all day about Terrifier 2.
Carrie or Scream?
Scream for me.
The Shining or The Fly?
Yeah, for that one, The Shining. So you actually did have it the first time.
Halloween or The Exorcist?
Halloween for me.
All right, we got our final 4. We got Halloween or The
crap.
Shining.
Halloween or The Shining. Oh my god, that's actually really hard.
That's a lot of movies. That's like
I know.
11 movies plus the reboots plus the H2O ones.
Oh shoot. You know what? I gotta say my Michael Myers. One of my favorite sequels. It's so fun, and I think it's getting better with age. It's Resurrection. It's just a fun little sequel with Buster Rhymes.
Okay. Halloween gets through, and then on the other side we have the Scream franchise, which was the movie that started your love of horror that you watched when you were too young as a kid. We lost Sofia, but she'll rejoin us here in a second, I'm sure.
I thought it was whenever she went.
Yeah, I'm sure her Wi-Fi went down for a moment.
Oh.
So we have Scream, pivotal to your youth.
Yeah.
Or we got this new coming clown, this new franchise. Who knows how many they're gonna make?
That is true. Oof. Oh man, that's the toughest one because you're right. Scream has an impact on childhood, and Terrifier's such a great character, Art the Clown. Oh man. Oh, I was like, this sucks. I'm trying to think because I wasn't happy with the last Scream, but I feel there's potential. You know what? I can't believe say this. I'm gonna have to say Terrifier. I just think that character. I mean, he just sticks with you, Art the Clown, and I think it's been a while since a villain's had that much of like an impact. Where you're like, oh my god, he's so twisted, but yet he's also funny at the same time. He's like comedic.
That is a heck of a cosign for Terrifier.
Yeah, no, I'm like
We should put you on the PR team.
I know. Don't like it's not paid, not advertising. It's not paid.
All right, so we're going to come down to the final bracket here. You've answered all the questions. We've talked about your movies, your love, your beginnings. And now Sophia joins us for the final one here. Let me get her back on screen here.
Nice.
I warned you, my Wi-Fi is terrible. Sorry.
Oh,
It's
no,
all
you
right.
did warn me. No worries,
Relax.
that happens.
I'm
All right,
back.
so we're down to the final two.
Right on time. Cool.
Yeah.
Halloween, Michael Myers,
Mm.
Terrifier,
Oh.
Clown
The clown
versus Michael,
or the shape. I know.
Mhm.
the knife.
And I hated last Halloween too. That's a whole nother that I can go on like for 10 episodes about that last one. Oh crap.
Rate the Halloween movies in reverse. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Oh, I know, right? You're like, wait, which one's which again?
Yeah.
I know Halloween's such a classic. I think this is where I gotta put my foot down. I think Halloween for me.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
nothing like the original,
Hey,
John
this is
Carpenter.
a good
Yeah.
run for Terrifier. This is probably. I mean, it got through Scream, it got through Evil
did.
Dead, it got through The
Mhm.
Thing, it got through Friday the 13th. My goodness.
Did. And some people
You
might
re-
think I'm insane, but no, you gotta watch it. I mean,
Sure, there's no recency bias there.
I know. So like, why? What's wrong with the thing? What's wrong with the aliens? Yeah. I know. Terrifier got pretty far into that list.
Yeah,
Picked it
I'm
over
surprised
Scream,
about
picked it
that.
over Childhood. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
what
did.
was that about? Also, The Shining. It got left at the last one.
What was it for?
Oh, Halloween. Yeah.
Yes. I know. Because
They made it
Halloween,
pretty far. Never mind.
that was the only horror film my grandma watched. She hated horror films except Halloween, the first one. She liked.
Really?
Yeah. She like absolutely refused. She's like, nope. I won't see. She wouldn't even watch The Exorcist, even though she read the book. She was a big reader. But she refused to see the movie. And plus, she was a hardcore Catholic. So she was one of those people that thought if you see like a film about the devil, even if you're curious, you're opening that door to
Yeah.
that evilness. I was like, oh, okay.
Did she have an opinion on Poltergeist and all the people that like passed away on set and all of that? Or
She refused to watch it, I think, because of that reason. I think she didn't like anything haunted house. I think with Halloween, she thought that was more on like the thriller side.
right?
She told me, she's like, because it's not in your face. I remember her telling me that as a kid. It's not in your face. It's not like over the top gore or there wasn't a lot of blood in the first one. Spoiler alert, but again, it's been out for like 40 years or so.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
One thing I always like to ask people after the bracket is there a movie that we didn't mention that you thought you were going to see that you thought was omitted? What was the biggest snub, or a movie that you thought?
Oh, I guess maybe kind of a newer one. I feel it's getting its own cult following. Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat?
With Sam. It's the little guy. He has like the little scarecrow bag over his head. What's the director's name? Because there's been talks they're gonna do a sequel. It's a film that came out years ago.
Oh yeah.
It has a younger Anna Paquin. She has a role in there.
I think I saw it on the list. But
Michael
I didn't know.
Dougherty is written
Michael
and directed
Dougherty.
by. Yeah. All right.
I feel because that one kind of blew up. I remember seeing it like back in high school, and I feel I feel like because now I see like the merch everywhere. Even Spirit Halloween has like the little doorstep with like Sam the villain. Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to my to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Trick or Treat. I don't know if this one's considered horror. I feel like it's like a thriller with horror film elements. Black Swan. I think it's one of my favorite films. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thriller / horror. Yeah.
I feel like there's some horror elements in it. Yeah. A lot of
I was also thinking about Jeepers Creepers as well.
Oh, yeah.
Or like the
Jeepers
what
Creepers.
What is that incest one with the hillbillies?
Oh, The Hills Have Eyes?
Hills Have Eyes, yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah.
You mean every porno
Yeah.
movie ever? What do you talk? We're live with Natalie Rodriguez, Extraordinary Pictures. You can watch all her stuff online now on Tubi and other channels. She's also on Amazon. You can find her books on Amazon. She's all over the place. We want to thank her very much for being on today. We're gonna do a palate cleanser, and then we'll probably knock into some. We're gonna knock into a couple of tabs, catch up on some news of the week. Like I said, Natalie, you're welcome to hang on. But if at any point you need to leave, we're good to go. All right. I do want to show you this palate cleanser here.
Nice.
Like I was saying, what makes
Oh my
them
God,
crazy is knowing that
I am
a guy
outta
can make another
here.
girl nuts. especially if the girl in her head is as attractive or more attractive than her.
Sophia.
So,
I
if you're
can't.
thinking
I
she's you,
can't.
a very attractive
No.
girl, come outside and slap me hard
Make it
across the face.
stop.
I'm gonna mute her.
She's gonna think, what did he do to that girl to make her so crazy?
And
And she's gonna want to talk to you.
and
This is the scene.
Probably gonna get you laid.
No.
Look at that. That's acting.
This is terrible.
That's
No.
acting.
Oh my
Look at that.
god. Oh my god, Lou, I hate you.
What? Oh, this is my
Is it
favorite
over?
scene. No.
Is it over?
This is a you crying because you're mad about the breakup scene.
Why did you make can I ask why you made the color like that?
Tied to the color.
Tied to the color? Oh, okay. I think at one point I eat a burrito and
girl.
ice cream and cry.
Oh,
Can this end? Oh my god, Luis! I can't. Oh my god.
oh man. Going down the social feed. The new girl.
I love this part. This is my favorite bit in the whole movie. Mars is beautiful.
Oh shit. Oh, with the burrito. Okay, I see what you mean. This food.
She's
Such a good burrito.
all right. She's eating a burrito and putting ice cream on it.
Oh. Oof.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Just going
Rosa
through some
says
struggles.
Sophia in action. That's right.
No.
That's my
Why?
girl right there. That's our
Everyone
muse.
wiped that from your memory box. We never saw that.
No, I want to see it now because I'm actually curious. Like, oh,
Yeah. It's
no,
a,
but
it's
it's
a,
the breakup scene. You know,
it's
they
a,
got
yeah.
ice cream or junk food or
Yeah,
it's
wine. You
perfect.
have a glass of wine there too.
It's
Yeah.
a
Pretty
rom
yummy.
com,
Pretty yummy day on set.
but if I do say so myself, it is not the Rosa is very strong and she doesn't go back to Hank after that. She
Why would
becomes-
you spoil it?
She goes back to him like every other chick in every rom com.
There we go.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah. No, it's different from your typical rom com. I hear you.
Yeah,
I like
'cause
rom coms too. No, I'll watch
there's,
it.
there's an opening masturbation scene 30 seconds in. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Sorry, I had that queued up from
Selfless
earlier.
plug. Jeez.
Sorry. Anybody, go watch Slapworthy
No.
on Facebook
Don't
or
do
on
it.
YouTube. I'm sorry. All right. Knocking out some of these tabs that I've been saving for the week here. Here we go. Here.
I keep seeing the dog. Who's the dog? What's his name? Or her?
There's three of them.
Oh,
Shy.
I think the one.
There's Baxter. There's two pit bulls, Baxter and Shy Girl, and then there's a German Shepherd named Oso.
Yeah. Is he still shedding?
He still has a little bit of a skin thing, but I've been using coconut oil on him and some other stuff, so it's helping him out.
Oh,
good.
All right, our
That's
friend Carlos Aguilar from that we interviewed a few months back. He put out a list of 50 movies. I guess you started with Mexican horror.
Ooh.
So everything from The Vampire, The Vampiro, 1957, The Body Snatcher, 1957, a bunch of older films. So I'm going to link this in the section in case anybody wants to kind of catch up on some of these older. You know, we want to promote Latino horror even if it's older. And we obviously had author Deborah Castañeda, who I got it right here.
Oh, where is mine? Oh, it's out of reach. Darn it.
She gave us a copy of the.
She gave us a copy of that. I was reading it earlier.
Right on.
It's very good.
Hint, hint. No. Just kidding. So anyway, we got that going on here. Let me knock out some more stuff here, and then we'll get to Noname's Way. Give me a second. Let me see what's good for our guests here today. All right. This is a real life commercial for Pop Rocks in 2001, I believe.
Better luck next time.
What are you gonna do?
I can't stress enough. This is an actual commercial from like 2001.
I have a plan. I want you to change my grade.
Why should I do that?
Oh, shit.
What?
This rate will be here all day.
Whoa.
This was on TV.
There's no way.
Get your your rocks off.
Oh my goodness.
What? There's
That's
no way.
That's on TV.
Lou, there's no way.
That was on TV in the early
No.
2000s. This is
Jeez.
real. This is real. This is real. Pop Rocks
Wow.
was a real thing.
I
I
feel
don't know,
that's
man.
like a funnier diet, like skit almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh
what
my
I thought
God.
too. I'm like, are you sure?
All right, this is an interesting topic for since Natalie's here. All right, NBC Universal is launching a initiative designed to turn TikTokers into its next generation of television creators. Now, I will say this about it's supposed to be real, Cyro. Like I went down a whole rabbit hole on these posts about like commercials that couldn't be done today, and it was like a Pop Rocks commercial from
Yeah.
2004.
I will say it is wild if you do continue down the rabbit hole of just everything that we used to say, do, and watch in the early 2000s. That would not.
That just would not fly. All right.
Yeah.
So I will defend TikTokers and reel makers and stuff like that, even Vine makers back in the day,
Mhm.
because I do think that the concept of a story arc and of like doing something and telling a concise story is something that not all TikToks have it, because some of it's just them people going, in various locations on earth, but there are some that are well contained, like little stories, et cetera, right? So I don't begrudge anybody how they tell a story, whether it's a 7-second Vine, whether it's a 90-second TikTok. If you can tell a story, you can tell a story. However, the issue that I have with this is Hollywood says that they're looking for Latino creators, realizes that there were over 8,000 hours of TV shows made last year, and there were a total of less than 10 Latino showrunners across the entire industry, and over 8,000 hours of TV made. When people that are established that have made feature films, short films, and they can't get an opportunity to pitch or even do like episode 7 of a season, we can't get, is this a good thing?
And I have my thoughts on that. I saw that actually yesterday.
Please.
No, I agree. I don't want it because there've been I think of like one of the original YouTubers, like Bo Burnham. I think he's a fantastic storyteller and director. I didn't know he started on YouTube. So I don't want to say like it's a dumb idea, but I guess I can point at this angle. The studios are only doing that because they think, oh, someone has 10 million followers, so that means we're going to get, 10 million views. I feel that's not the right way to look at it. Oh, that's their promo video.
The TikTokers,
it's sort of like the real world.
The TikTokers are on the lot.
Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, wow. Oh, that must be like an ad or something. Oh.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's the NBCU Accelerator program, and it's basically trying to get deals with TikTokers to make TV shows. But here's my question: are the audience of TikTokers really people that watch network television?
No, but I think that's probably the goal is to get them to switch over.
Is there any amount of loving your favorite TikToker that would make you want to like turn on a regular TV and look for NBC, like Channel 39, to get cable? Or I mean,
I
you
feel
get
like
the peak.
No, me at this age, no. But if I think back to the demographic of TikTok, they're mainly middle school, high school. And at the time, let's say you're obsessing over Justin Bieber, whoever, NSYNC, whoever was popular. I think that Gen Zers would probably switch over if they love the TikToker enough. I know people are like obsessed with what are those sisters called? I don't know. I'm even too old for TikTok.
Yeah, look at you. Part your hair.
The D'Amelios. There you go.
You don't even part your hair in the middle anymore.
I know. I'm an old millennial.
Yeah, like I said, I think some of the skill set transition over in terms of storytelling, and if they can turn a 90-second TikTok or a series of TikToks into a 22-minute show, and they can do 12 to 20 episodes, then more power to them. I just feel like I feel like there's also, if you want quality programming, there's also a subset of people, in and around LA, New York, Chicago that could do a much better job for you, right? So do you have anything else to expand to that, Natalie?
I think going off of that, I do agree with that. I think kind of going back to I've met I mean, I feel like over the years I've met more people that will pick someone over an acting role because that person has, more followers. And I'm always like, but what if that person's more talented? Like that's just, it's like it's all about, it does come down to like the talent. Like, are they able to present themselves, on camera if they're trying to do acting? And I feel like the same with even behind the scenes. Like I feel, there's a big transition from doing 90 seconds to, that 22-minute, 30-minute, pages or, minutes. I feel, are they aware of like, you have to make a character and you have to have them like go through all these like, arcs or multiple characters actually. I don't want I mean, again, I'm always like iffy with TikTok. I mean, I had a TikTok like beginning of pandemic and then I personally got rid of it just because I'm like, I just don't sit here watching like just a bunch of random things. Like I'm actually going to go watch something like with a story. So, but again, it's like, I totally get it. Like you said earlier, Sophia, like I feel TikTokers, it is with the middle schoolers and maybe even high schoolers too.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where it goes personally. But it also, this program reminds me of, I think it was the Paul brothers. Was it Logan Paul?
Oh
And
yeah, when they have the
they
house,
did
the
the
vlog
movie.
house or something.
Yeah. Or they
Yeah.
did I think it was a Logan Paul. He directed I think it was a feature film, like about there were a bunch of like Vine stars, but there's Vine going to, was it TikTok or something like that? They moved over to another app. It was like a bunch of them, like as the cast members, but I think that bombed. So I was shocked because personally I was like, oh wow, it's like, someone like Logan Paul or Jake Paul, like all these people that are tweeting and Instagramming about it. And still, I feel like no one wanted to see them on like film. So I'm
Yeah,
personally
it's
curious
true.
to see if that'll be like another incident like that, or if maybe perhaps if the TikTokers are behind the scenes and they're trying to develop the story, maybe people will be a little more open to it. Because I know that's a debate too, and I even debate that too. Like, for me personally, if it was like someone that auditioned for me and someone who maybe didn't have an Instagram had the stronger audition over someone that has, the 500,000 plus, followers on Instagram, I would go with personally, that person that had the stronger audition versus the numbers for the social. That's just me personally. I know some people might be the opposite.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Because I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays, every time you audition, they ask for your socials, and sadly, it
Oof.
plays a big part on whether you get the role or
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
I do feel like that's unfair, but it's also like but then you're like, well, I get it from a producer standpoint, but then you're also like, oh, it does come down to talent and like
Yeah.
believable with the roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, as long as they make space for us in other places, or like you said, I mean, if they decide that they're gonna make this thing and then maybe bring on some like more experienced people to hold their hands, that might be a
Yeah.
thing, right? That could be something
Yeah.
like, they can give me a job there.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
All right.
Like
We're
a
wrapping up.
mentorship.
We're wrapping up here with Natalie Rodriguez, knocking out some final tabs. We're going to do No Names Way, and then we'll get out of here. Reminding you that if you are watching us live, you can always listen to the audio version of this podcast as you go about your day. Just look for Mi Gente Show. Here's a episode, What is Latinidad? Hey, we got 200 downloads on this one.
Nice.
And you can see Mi Gente Show, all the episodes here. We talked about a bunch of stuff. And then here at the top, you can see you can watch us on Apple, listen to us Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify. All over the interwebs is where we are. Mi Gente
Por
Show.
todas partes, mi gente.
All right. So the Natalie Rodriguez episode will be up there in a few days. We'll let you guys know when it's that. All right. And then the only other things that I thought here were interesting is the tale of the racist lesbian emu farmer.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if you guys caught this girl. She went TikTok and Instagram famous because she would do all these videos with her emu. She's on a farmer. It was like farmer TikTok, and the emu would always be like trying to like peck at the phone and stuff, like not record her.
Oh,
so it was basically her and the emu. Then it turns out, as always, there's a deeper story. She's a lesbian and she used to fetishize black women, I guess. And she started posting stuff, and I guess she was kissing her bird that had her bird had avian flu, and she was
What?
which is not something that you're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be making out with your bird that has bird flu, because you
Ugh.
could transmit it to people,
Mhm.
right? And then it came out that Emmanuel Emu Lesbian has a long history of being unapologetically racist online.
Oh.
Back in her Vine days, she had a character called Good
Oh.
Karen,
Mm.
and she apparently did a bunch of like a bunch of stuff online that was bad. There's a couple of threads about it on Twitter that I
Oh
kind of went
no.
down the rabbit hole on it. The fact that we can even have a lesbian emu, that we can even have a lesbian farmer influencer who is also a God-fearing conservative racist,
Oh
shows
my
a failure
gosh.
of shows the failure of identity-based representation politics. There was a couple of threads like breaking down. Her name is Taylor Blake, and basically then it as everything does on Twitter, it delves into
Yeah.
white lesbians on a versus black lesbians and that whole
Oh.
subculture stuff.
Jeez.
Basically, the part of that is basically her using the term stud. But I
Oh, we're getting there. Okay.
right, we're talking about Sofia. Sophia,
Oh yeah.
this is your community, so you tell me. How do
No.
you feel about? I,
No quiero.
apparently, stud is a word. But I've heard stud as part of the gay community from like a
Uh-huh.
long ass time. I don't think that's like a new thing, right? At some
Um. So there was actually a debate. I did a lesbian reality TV show,
Oh, nice.
and we have a group chat. The cast members, we're still all very close, but
Right on.
the star of the show was this YouTuber called Amber's Closet,
Mm-hmm.
and she did a video a few months
are you
after the
already off
show.
your NDA on this?
It's been over a year.
Like
I
she.
hope I am, or I will be
Okay,
sued.
just making
Anyway,
sure.
sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I didn't say the name. Oh, I guess I give names. Okay, you're gonna have to cut that out. You just,
All right, that's
cut
fine.
that part out.
All right.
There's a human being who starred in said show
Okay, never mind. Keep
who
going. At
made
this
who
point,
made a video regarding this topic, and yeah, the chat got a little fired up because it
Oh.
turns out not a lot of us knew where the term stud originated, and apparently it originated from
Okay.
African American lesbians. And the video that said person, who shall not be named because of a said NDA, the video that she put out was basically correcting the fact that stud is only reserved for African American, black lesbians, and not bisexuals. It doesn't even open itself up to pansexuals, bisexuals. It's just lesbian black women. Yes.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
I didn't either. So we all
New.
learned something. But
That's
yeah, where did
very
the debate start with that white lesbian with emo? I'm
well,
confused.
the thing is, like, she had a bunch of different characters. She goes, and I guess they found a bunch of her old tweets.
Oh, shoot.
Because she was using the N word and she was some of her stuff,
Oh.
and she was basically like, that's why I only fuck with black bitches type things. Like she was like,
Oh wow.
she was going down the rabbit hole. Like what I mean? Like she was like, oh, here it is, right? This was it, where she's like, why do you love black women, me? And then basically, so I guess
Oh
maybe
wow.
they were, and then she got popular because she was even on, like on Jimmy Kimmel or something, or one of the
Yeah.
Jimmys, and she was doing her little TikToks with her emo. I've seen them,
Mhm.
but then apparently she got canceled this week for being
All those old tweets.
for her old tweets. For doing that.
Jeez, I gotta look at that. I'm sorry that hasn't come on my radar. I've been back on Twitter this week.
Yeah, no, like it started off as, hey, this chick is not that good, and then it delved into a thread on Taylor Blake and racism among white lesbians on a whole from the perspective of queer black women. So,
jeez,
it's one of the many rabbit holes in Twitter that we were going down this week.
Yeah, you went down it.
Yeah. I love I can't get enough of like gay politics.
Well, Twitter too just takes that one person with those receipts. This is from 2011. Then someone else chimes in, and there's that thread.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, "Oh man, she was my favorite
lesbian emu owner,
lesbian emu owner that's also on TikTok."
Oh,
listen, we can't claim her. It's fine. There's crazy people in every community, you guys. They all got some kooky people.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's
I gotta
true.
go down the rabbit hole
For,
with that one. I'm like, for a second, I said emo. I was thinking emo because like it
emo.
came up as a
She is
small screen on my end. I was like, wait, emo? Like,
I'm like, hell
no
yeah.
oh,
interesting.
yeah.
Just in terms of like the gay terms and stuff. So my best friend, like in high school, didn't tell me he was gay until
Mhm,
probably like end of junior year or something like that, or something like
mhm,
that. Like we were cool in there. Like I was just so dumb that I would try to hook him up with friends and stuff.
yeah.
And then one day he's like, "Hey, hey, just so you know, I'm gay." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool."
Mhm,
And then that was it. But before I knew that, he would use all these terms from gay
mhm.
clubs from the late '90s. He'd
Oh,
be like,
okay.
he would do these cool things that he would pick up at the clubs. And then
Mhm.
since I hung out with him again, I would repeat them. So
Oh,
Oh, no, no,
I would
no.
so I was using like gay terminology from like the deep gay clubs of New York City in the late '90s. So for a time in high school, there was like, and I told you about this before, there were these gay dudes in high school that were like, "Oh, we can turn him because we know what he's."
oh shoot.
They were like they were thought about it. So
Look at
I've always
you.
known a lot about like the terminology and
Mhm,
stuff, but I've heard stud for so long that I didn't know that it was an exclusive term, or
mhm,
it's been reclaimed maybe or something.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until pretty recently. And
mhm.
I thought I always before just thought it was any masculine presenting queer woman. Uh,
Okay,
but no, yeah, it turns out it's a very exclusive term.
It is a very
that's a
exclusive
It
term.
shame.
is up for it's up for debate if you feel like it, but I don't. And I feel like yeah, that's where it
So it
started. So I don't
so
know.
it's like the opposite of I feel weird for asking, like lipstick, opposite
Yeah,
lipstick.
so
Okay.
I guess the reason behind the debate is also because there's a term called, butch,
Mhm.
lesbian, so
Okay.
it's kind of like
Right.
masculine. Right now everyone's like using the term mask. I feel like that's a more
Mhm.
appropriate term, an umbrella term. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I guess stud was it started in the African American community, and so it
Mhm.
is very exclusive to them and only
Okay.
lesbians apparently. So yeah,
Yeah.
the more
Yeah,
you
that's new to
know.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
one of my good
Sophia,
friends is gay, one of my good friends, but I know there's like some terminology he's used and I've heard it, but I don't think he's brought up, yeah, stud yet. I know one of my
Mhm.
cousins not too long ago came out as a lesbian and she's dating a woman and I think even she said she's joked like, "Oh, I'm the lipstick in this
Yeah.
relationship."
Yeah,
But
like the
that's
more
kind of it.
effeminate. Mhm.
Yeah.
Gold star
Yeah.
lesbian.
Gold,
Gold star.
gold
Nah.
star.
Of course,
A gold
Sophia
star.
identifies as bi and a pillow princess. So there's that.
Ew,
Okay.
no. Why are you what the fuck are you saying?
No judgment.
I was in one of the anonymous way, right? Sophia is a pillow
No.
princess. No, isn't that? Did somebody call you out on that?
Oh
No,
shoot.
what?
Oh,
Are
like
you
someone
just
on the
putting fake
chat?
news?
Somebody had called you out and said you were a pillow princess, right?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay.
Wait, are you
Maybe
are you serious? Did that actually happen? Was I here?
maybe it was in a different group
Oh.
chat. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just
Oh,
messing with you.
I was like,
It
wait, shoot on Twitter?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I just know it's a term that I learned, and I would just figure that I would throw it out there. Sorry, I'm just making a joke here. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay.
But
I'm
All
I'm
too
right.
tired to
curious.
defend myself.
So is that an offensive term?
No, no, it's fine if you identify as a pillow princess, it's good, but it's a very
Mhm.
determinative term.
It's kind of like a hoity-toity. Like, are you kind of like just not just dabbling your toe in the water in that situation, or is that kind of, or
No,
is that
no, because I don't want to belittle anybody that may identify as that. So like you could be
Mm,
totally gay and be a pillow princess, but
mhm.
you could also be totally straight and just not want to move and be a total starfish. So I
okay?
don't know.
Got it.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
fair point. Mm,
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair
yeah.
enough.
Mm.
Just for the record, I didn't get a secret text that told me Sophia's a closet pillow princess. I did not. That did not happen. I'm just
Oh
kidding. And
man.
it wasn't.
On
I
Twitter.
was making a joke. All right. We're getting here close to the end. We just got one last stop to go, and that is
Now it's time for
No names, way.
No names, way.
No Names.
anonymous advice for semi
Mm.
unqualified podcasters. I
Yes.
am an old boomer who smoked a lot of weed and once
You're not a
tested.
boomer, are
I'm
you?
not. No, I'm Gen X. I'm like
Yeah.
dead center. Dead center Gen X.
Mhm.
but I have smoked a lot of weed, even though I once tested at 139 in my IQ. And Sofia has a master's degree. So along with that, we
Hey.
give a bunch of different life advice. And Natalie's joining us today. So feel free to join in.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Our first question comes to us from Two is Better Than One, but for how long? And their question is, it's a long one. I love my wife, but I also love my side chick. She does things that my wife stopped doing shortly after our third anniversary, and we have been married for 10 plus years, but I won't say exactly. This started a few years ago when I met my side chick, now girlfriend, at work. She was a temp worker during our busy season and still in school, college, not high school. And although I had zero desire to cheat on my wife, it was just like a fantasy that she was into me, so I could not resist. We began casually to where we are now, 2 years together. She knows about my wife and is about 60% okay with it. She has never met our kids or become an issue, and I never brought her home. I have had to invent a special schedule that allows me to go spend time with her a few times a week, and I've had to hustle my ass off on side businesses, crypto, etc., to make money enough to keep them both happy. It has been tough, but I got to have it all for a while. Family life and a hot-ass girlfriend that loves to worship me. But now my girlfriend is done with school and wants to either travel or find a job in another city. Her field has some major hubs she would be closer to for her career. I feel lucky that I have had my fun and that my wife, as far as I know, has not been affected. We have sex like every 3 months anyway, so she might have a side thing. Who knows? Either way, if this ends now, I have to go back to a very boring life, or I could throw it all away with my girlfriend, but who knows how long that sizzle might last. I know I'm the dick here, but what would you say is the best move? Leave it all and travel the world, or go back to boring and try to be happy with my family life?
Oh, jeez. This is the
Oh my goodness
conundrum, right? When people have to settle down and choose a slower paced lifestyle. It seems like I don't know.
All right, listen.
I don't have a lot of advice for this. I just kind of feel bad, and I think that they need to stop cheating.
He's aware.
The fact that you've gotten away with this for that long is the most impressive part about this. That you've managed somehow to keep this. Like your wife might know. And
I'm hoping the wife is cheating too. That would be great.
Yeah, if they're only doing it every 3 months, that's 4 times a year. I mean, after 10 years of marriage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, relationships lose their spark sometimes. It's just a part of life. And I feel like if you feel to the point where I hope that my wife is also having an affair, maybe it's time to talk about it with her. Like maybe it's time to be like, hey, we lost our spark. Let's see if we can do something to rekindle this. Let's go to therapy. Let's try something. Or let's just be parents, co-parenting and having separate lives. That's totally fine too. There's a billion types of relationships. You can have a form of an open relationship. You can break up. You can stay together. Whatever it is, I just wish that you weren't hurting somebody in the process. Because if she's not having an affair and she's being faithful and you're just over there, getting your rocks off and having your cake and eating it too, then that's not very fair. So I don't know. My humanistic side is just like communicate people. Yeah.
Natalie?
I would say, I think of, there's a quote I once read, like in one of those, I think online or magazines. It was about, if you're in love with someone and there's a second person that captures your attention, end up with the second person because they wouldn't have captured your attention if they were the first person. So I kind of agree with that. It's, I mean, that's okay. Like relationships, like, sometimes like you said, they fizzle out or you already served its purpose. And it's also, even if they're both having affairs, their side pieces, I think, I mean, if it's like they're doing that because they like the thrill and it's sneaking off, I just feel there's only so long until that can go on because maybe their side pieces might want to, take the relationship to the next level, move in, get married. And I feel what they going to do, they're just go to the next one. I mean, it's going to be like I feel like a cycle. So I agree. It's either work on your marriage, talk it out, therapy, or, end up with, make the side piece, the main piece. I think that's going to be key, especially too. I'm a big firm believer of karma. So I feel the eventual catch up, I feel at some point, somewhere down the line. I'm a firm believer, that universe will
it's gonna
deliver back.
It's gonna correct itself at some point.
Yeah.
My thought process on this one is that even if your wife hasn't found out, the minute that if you decide to stay in the marriage, the minute that she leaves, she's gonna notice a difference in you, because if the marriage has been dead for a while, but you're happy to be in it because you have this side piece that keeps you, keeps you lusting for life, then when that side piece is gone, you're gonna go into a depression or something, and she's gonna notice. Well, even if you have a conversation about it then, it's definitely going to be like, well, it's been like this for like 2 years. Why haven't what's different now? Right. You know what I mean? Because you're basically in a rut, but are getting through it. If you've been married 10 plus years, your kids, I don't know, maybe they're in high school, maybe they're close to college and stuff like that. You might want to stick it out and then go your separate ways. Because it doesn't seem like, if you're like, hey, I'm cool if somebody else is banging my wife, and I kind of like it both ways. I love her, but this and that. So I don't know. I think
sounds like there's not much there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna try to get away with it, like all the way, like your wife never knowing that you've had an affair for 3 years, I mean, my God, the fucking gabagool on you.
Yeah.
Gabagool.
You got gabagools like this, my friend.
I know that is impressive. I'm like, oh, kudos. It sounds like they're making extra cash to keep both satisfied. I'm like, wow, I think that's the first time I've ever heard that. Like,
also it's sounding like the side
I mean, it
piece
sounds
is
like a
also
dedicated
wanting
family
to
man.
graduate.
Yeah, dedicated family man, dedicated boyfriend.
Yeah, and the girlfriend is 60% okay with it. I mean, I think the
Well, I
girlfriend's
feel like she's gonna eventually not be okay with it. She graduated college, and I think she's gonna start looking for something more serious.
I think she had the daddy, kink going for a while with this married guy, and while
As
she
you
was
do
in
in
college,
college.
and now
You
she's
need
like,
the
all right,
help.
I gotta move to where my career is. Are you coming with me? And are we doing or are you fucking going back to your wife? And I don't really think the girlfriend wants you to come with him.
That too. I mean, that can always be the
Hey, look,
the plot
worst case
twist.
scenario, you leave your wife, you relocate, you have to go find another job, because if you're an old motherfucker, you probably go into the office somewhere, or I mean, if you're trading crypto, maybe not. But and you said you met her at work. So worst case scenario, if you leave, quit your job, have to go somewhere else, or try to relocate, and then 3 months later, she's fucking some doctor or some dude at her job, depending on what she's into or something like that, you're gonna fucking be pissed, and then you're gonna be trying to go back to your wife, and it's not gonna be happening for you. So I definitely see that. All right. So best of luck with that.
Best of luck.
Yeah.
The best of luck. And I do mean that. All right. The next two come for us from Lou Hader. Okay. Thank you, Lou Hader. Lou Hader says,
read this. Read these beforehand, man.
Lou Hader, listen.
All right.
If I read them beforehand, it wouldn't be a bit, right? All right. Lou's old. His pubes are grayer than matter. Okay, I got it. That's fine. Okay. Lou's. You ever see Lou eat a burrito? He looks like the girl in one of those porn movies. Slow at first, then he gets into it. You eat that burrito, fat Lou. Okay. I love eating burritos. I'm sorry. That's definitely one of my friends. Only a few certain people call me fat Lou. All right. All right. We got here the last one. This next one is from Time to Bail. My girlfriend of less than 1 year acts like we've been married for 20 years. We go out to eat and she takes 2 hours to get ready. Looks smoking hot in a dress. She travels for work, so when she is in town, she stays with me for a few weeks and a time before being away and then she's away. And then at times she is away for a few weeks, up to a month or more, then being home again. The issue is that even though it's a newer relationship, it feels like we've been married for a long time. Go to the movies, get some sushi, have a few drinks, and I'm hoping I get laid after date night. Then we get home, I jump into bed ready, if you know what I mean, but it's too late. She's already into her routine, taking off her dress, putting in some sweats, oversized t-shirt. I'm doing her hair and makeup, and then doing her nighttime routine before finding me in bed again. Almost an hour later. It's not the same. This happens a lot. She doesn't want to do morning sex because she says she has to get ready for it. It's not sexy when our breaths stink. I love all of it. Even if we spend long periods apart, I want to take advantage of that time so that I'm cool with it when she's away. But it seems she's content for hot sex days the day she gets back, and then married, boring life the rest of the time. What should I do? Everything else is okay, but I don't want to date but feel like I'm married.
That's rough, because that we're talking either she's not that sexually attracted to you, sadly, or she has a very substantially lower libido than you. And either one is difficult in a relationship. Yeah, I don't know.
I agree with that. I think it's the physicality. It's part of the relationship. I
It's
mean,
a
that's
very
whether
important part.
it
Passion, I
is.
mean.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, there's like a couple friends like I know, even married ones. They schedule time, right? Like once, twice a week. Especially if they have kids. Like one of my friends, she has like 3 babies, so she's like, no, we have to schedule it. Like her and her husband.
But the desire is there. That's the healthy
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
And I think it's the excitement because it's like, their Tuesday night or whatever. So I almost feel, I don't know if he's trying to like bring that up to her. Like, no, we gotta like, even get, it sounds lame, but if that's what it takes to, maybe kind of bring that spark back or just to like, even communicate that with her. Like, yeah, I don't want to, that's cool. Like you're all hot and wild. Like when you come back from these work trips, but then after that, like, hey, like I want more after that. So
You're gonna be away for 3 weeks. I wanna,
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
do I have a suggestion? Do the old, hey, honey, I read something really interesting the other day. Just say you heard something, you read something, and then start talking about libido and sex drive, and just be like, I've noticed that like I tend to crave sex a lot more than you do. What do you think that's about?
Oh yeah, or
And
do
just
do the 21 days of the thing where the couples have sex for 21 straight days to increase intimacy.
I was gonna say that, or
jeez.
No, there's like things, there's like studies or like therapists tell you to do that. They're like, if you're thinking about breaking up, force yourselves to have sex for 30 days in a row, and that'll improve like intimacy. It like helps people's relationships if they like, because the physical intimacy is actually like a thing. So
or people, I know some people, my partner and I have done that. We buy like books to buy, like you can try new positions or new things. Like I think that different, that's kind of exciting. And that's kind of almost like what you're saying too. Sometimes it'll be like, new moves to try for the next week or whatever. That can always be like
absolutely.
thing that helps out. But yeah, I definitely think that's the problem if it's like one feels like they're not getting, of course, their physical needs met. That's
yeah.
yeah.
I think look, the this is gonna be look, I've had this scenario happen to me where you get into a rut with a relationship and you go out and she's wearing a sexy dress, but then when you go to have sex, she's got, I think guys have this happens in my life. The way I got through it in my relationship is like, look, I'm sorry, but I'm so turned on after we spent the night together. I would have to say this on the drive home. I'd be like, look, you look incredible. I want to have sex with you in that dress as soon as we get home. Then you can do anything else that you want to do. You know what I mean? But I don't. It's so and the relationship ended up not working out because of sometimes people have different libidos and stuff like that. So I feel your pain. Basically, the advice I think is put it out there. Throw some feelers out in the water. Hey, I saw this study, how we can increase intimacy so that, when you're away, we feel closer to each other. And if we have sex for 10 straight days, it's supposed to like blah, blah, blah. What's she into? Is she like an Oprah chick or is she like a spiritual chick? Is she crystals? Go get her some crystals that are supposed to like help out, put some, what are these crystals around the room? Oh, I've been reading about blah, blah, blah. And, blah,
the old I've been reading about. I heard.
Exactly. So that's Sophia's advice is bring something up. My advice is have a conversation. Natalie says bail. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
All of the above in that order.
I know it's all the above.
Look, I guess be honest with her. Say, hey, you look. I'm like, just look. You look so incredibly hot in that dress. Like, or me, like, I want to help take that dress off you when we get home. I don't know. You have to, if her libido's not there just by regular activities, but she does get turned on when she sees you after she's been gone for 3 weeks, then maybe try some role playing, try some different stuff, lose her in a crowd and then find her, pretend you're strange bar, do something, man,
Yeah.
bring all that up. If it doesn't happen, then yeah, it's time to bail. All right.
Yeah.
One more and we're out of here. And this one is a short one from Curiosa. She says, what is the most hurtful thing someone has ever told you? What is the most wonderful thing someone has ever told you?
That's hard.
That's
That's not advice.
It's not advice. It's a question.
Wow, we all went silent.
I know, I'm like, because
Well, the most hurtful, I don't think anyone would want to share.
No.
Why give anyone ammo? The
Yeah.
most, and then the opposite, I just can't think of. I'm like, what's I've gone most wonderful thing.
For the most hurtful, I think I'll go the opposite way, and I'll say the most hurtful thing anybody's ever said is when they ghosted me. So by not saying something, they were being more hurtful than if they would have told me.
You know what? I'm gonna copy you. I'm gonna
Thank
say
you.
that as well. Yeah.
Because that's hurtful to not tell somebody. Yeah, there's this whole thing where I've seen the opposite, where it's like nobody owes you to tell you anything. If they want to just ghost you and get you out of their life, they're allowed to do so, which I guess is true, but it's still a dick move.
I think
still a sting.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up because I think a lot of people do take that side of like, oh, no one knows you anything. And I get it. No one knows anyone anything. We come to this life and we don't, we're not here to serve everyone. But I do feel like there's a certain level of respect that comes with, I don't know, whatever it is you shared, wherever it is that you went. For example, if I talk to you on Bumble for 2 messages, I don't owe you an explanation to why I'm ghosting.
Right.
That's my thing. I don't know you. We're strangers. But if we dated for 3 months, 4 months, I saw you every week, we got close, whatever, I feel like I owe you a little something.
The 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months is a range.
Yeah. And it really depends. But I do feel
Or
like
if you if after 3 to 6 months and you were like officially something,
Yeah, I wouldn't even say time so much as connection, but I do feel like you can be black and white of like no one owes anyone anything and it's okay to ghost, or like don't ghost people because that's messed up. It's like a mixture. It depends on the connection, I think. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Fair point.
No,
that makes sense.
Look, I've been ghosted, so I'm just like So
I've been the ghoster and the ghostee. So
yeah,
I think we're all guilty of the ghoster.
yeah, I guess I have. I mean, in some regards,
in some ways.
But I love
that's
conflict.
happened to me where I was a few years ago. It was someone I matched with. We're seeing each other for like maybe 5 months, and it was like slowly started ghosting me on the weekends. And I remember that was a thing. Like the girls would talk and be like, "Oh, you're not the weekend chick. Like he has another chick." And that was painful because like then I felt like I even after I was done, I cut it off. I was still like hurt after that because then I was afraid to go back on like those dating apps because you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna like encounter that again. So I would agree that it does hurt, even if it doesn't hurt in the moment. It will. I feel like it kind of catches up to you at some point, even if it's when you're done speaking to that person.
Yeah.
And it never feels good because you're like, what did I do? Even if you're like, you didn't do anything, it's just like, wait, what the heck? Like that was 3, 4, 5 months down the drain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, and you always. I think it's always better, or if you're gonna go somebody, but then they're like, "Hey, can you tell me what's up?" Just be like, "Hey, this is what happened. I'm sorry, but no, I'm gonna unghost you for a second here to let you know, answer your question here, and this is kind of the reason, and now peace out again. All right, I can understand that.
Yeah,
actually, I honestly respect that.
I kind of, I kind of like that too.
I mean, I've had to do that before, like in the past for meeting my wonderful partner now, but like, on those dating apps, it would ask like, hey, what happened? But then, I feel like if they're just honest, even if it's like, hey, I'm just not, I think everyone can say, they always had those things of guys are like, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious. It's like, okay, ouch, but hey, at least you told me this, I guess the month end versus like the year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I feel, I kind of have to give some kudos to people that are going to answer that. Like, they're
not many will, but hey.
Yeah.
All right. And most wonderful thing somebody has ever told me. Oh man. The baby's not yours. I don't know. I think if I'm gonna keep it like podcast related, I mean it's simple things. I think that people have told me that they listen to my shows like to help them get through a night shift, and I thought that was very complimentary. I spoke to somebody that I met at the festival last year who watched some of my movies and really understood a lot of the themes in it. So that felt really nice in terms of somebody that tells me so. Like if somebody understands something that I did from an artistic point of view, I love that. And obviously, the times that my mom and dad have been able to see me do something that I'm good at, whether it be acting or come see one of my movies or something. That's the thing and they told me they're proud of me. That's probably the nicest thing that I've had told to me. Also, people constantly tell me on the phone that I have a sexy voice, but that's besides the point.
You're so dumb.
That's the most common thing.
So
Sophia?
Oh, geez. Put on the spot. I don't know.
Was it that you play a great douchey millennial in the movie?
Yeah, totally. Great at crying on command. Oh my God, Lou! Stop!
I did see this one earlier.
Million followers on Twitter.
Lou.
I actually liked it. This was a fun scene. That is you. Okay. It's like the lighter hair.
Are you wearing the same shirt?
The same shirt.
No.
Oh no.
No. Okay. Just checking. I'm sorry.
I did see that earlier. That is you. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I think that was for the 72-hour film fest.
Yeah, it was for a 72-hour festival. Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
We had a good shit. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Natalie, did you have an answer to that?
Most wonderful thing. Most recently, if it's, I guess, kept work related. At my first LA book signing, I had a former coworker show up. And she raised her hand and said thank you. She's like, she watched the film adaptation of a book I did, and she said, I feel you captured the recovery part very well. And she's like, I can relate. And she choked up. That was the first time I ever received that kind of reaction from any work of mine, and I was like shocked, but then I was like, oh my God, like that's like, because I never heard that. So looking back, I really appreciate that, because it's been stick with me since that event, which was like 2 months ago or so. So I feel I definitely, that one stuck with me the most from an event.
All right. Hey, Natalie, one last question for me. If you could only maintain one of these two feelings as a filmmaker for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? The feeling of day one, shot one on a brand new movie, or opening night about to watch your movie in front of an audience that has nothing to do with it?
Oh, that's hard.
I gotta say the day one, shot one setup. Because it feels like
so many opportunities.
The challenges, and then if you had like a shoot before you weren't satisfied with, it feels like a clean slate. You're like, all right, like let's do this right. And an opening night, I'm like, I'm worst critic, but I get so nervous on opening night, no matter how big or small the crowd is. I'm like, I'll try to like find an escape. I'm like, all right, when the lights get dark, I'm gonna try to like exit out this way.
Okay.
So I would say there's nothing like the day one, shot one.
I do like hearing people laugh at something.
You're a narcissist though, Lou.
Oh man. Oh no, did she drop out?
No, Lou took me out.
I was like, did she just drop out? I was like, fast, like internet.
Curiosa, hope we answered your question in a roundabout way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think Sophia, did you have were you about to say a kindest thing somebody said to you, or the nicest thing?
I can't think of like exactly one thing, but recently I had a pretty near-death experience, and so that brought out like a lot of people out of the woodworks, just kind of telling me their nicest things about me that they think about me, and I was like, oh, so a lot of things that I was like, I didn't know y'all thought about that so highly of me. It's pretty nice. Feels nice.
Yeah. Well,
my funeral's gonna be nice. No, it's fine. Yeah. I'm alive. We're good.
Yeah, not all those people put you in a movie though. Just saying.
Yeah, Lou. Not all those movies do I want to bring up all the time.
I want to see them.
What are you talking about?
That was a good one. That was fun.
Oh my God.
Why don't you just turn off your notifications?
What?
Geez.
No. Oh my God, Tracy, you are a
Oh,
lifesaver.
Turn the camera off.
The cow. She's like, what do you think of the cow?
Oh my God, are we done?
Like a baby cow, you Tracy?
No, you're
Take what you sees.
Then why are you treating me like a baby cow?
I think that was your line,
Why is there
Sophia.
milk in
I
here?
put no milk in, I swear.
You think I can't taste milk? Are you trying to murder me?
Lou.
With dairy?
Are you
It's
trying
okay.
to I'm trying to murder me with day. All right, I'm sorry. It's gone. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Natalie Rodriguez, for coming on the
course.
show. You can
Thank you,
find her
Natalie.
everywhere.
Thank you, guys.
Find her on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere,
Yes.
Facebook. Look for Extraordinary Pictures.
Yeah.
Look at her books. Go to her book signings. Catch the stuff that's already on YouTube, and keep up with her. All right. Anytime you want to come on, you got something to promote, you let us know.
Yeah, no,
Especially when you're done with The Sopranos, I'll jump on it as well.
Yeah. Once you guys are done with Sopranos, we can do. Yeah, I'd love to
Oof.
break down the Sopranos.
Yeah.
Don't worry
I'm
about
like,
it.
we should be done within the month because we're
Cool.
like speeding by. My partner's waiting to watch it right now.
And
Okay.
as you know,
tell them
you
we're
need-
sorry.
if you need an
That's
actress, an actor, or a film crew at some point, you also let us
Yeah.
know. Obviously, looking to connect with
sure.
people and collaborate, obviously. So we'll see you around, Natalie. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody
Thank
that
you,
joined us today.
Natalie.
Thank you for the submissions. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. We'll see you guys live next Thursday at 8 p.m. for our Halloween show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Later, mi
Hasta
gente.
luego, mi gente.
Bye, everyone.
Vamos, papá, hay que irnos. Me estoy aguantando desde que pusieron el domo.
Puedes esperar, muchas personas trabajaron en esta película y solo quieren que te aprendas sus nombres de memoria.
Y yo quiero asegurarme de que ningún animal resultó lesionado durante la filmación de esta película. ¡Piu!
¡Listo! ¡Uy, palomitas en el suelo! Wow.
Espera, parece que Maggie tiene algo que decir. No, su primera palabra.